again, all these things, a lot of what we're talking about today sounds good maybe through the microphones, but it takes a certain type of understanding to really just think, oh, how much of our suffering is just because we don't know how to deal with, like, we're just creating narratives, running with them, pointing fingers, and talking shit. You know, this is a weird world. No one knows what they're going through.
It's like a dual category, right?
Between what and what? Because I look at it. See, that's the thing. I didn't even think to categorize it in my mind. Like I didn't even think to do that.
Well,
I just opened it up and I just thought story. Like,
right.
It's just like I'm just gonna read a story. I wasn't thinking like whether it's science fiction or not. Also, go ahead.
Because it was like a light bulb, not a light bulb, but when she first told me about it, she told me like this is the premise, and I was like, oh, it's like science fiction. I'll read it.
Oh yeah, okay.
I knew it was gonna be right up my alley, and then.
See, because when I think of science fiction, I've usually, I think, been turned off by that term. But one of the most weirdly impactful books was, oh man, it wasn't, I think it's called, it's not Star Wars, not Star Trek. I think it was, it may have been like Star Galaxy.
Wait, you talking about
or what? What are you thinking?
I think I know you're talking about.
It's one of these type.
Is it a show too?
I don't know if it's a show. Okay. It was something that someone gave to me back when I was making sandwiches at Panera.
Okay.
And I forgot exactly what the book was called.
Oh, I remember you talking about this book.
Yes.
Yeah. And the dude in the book,
it's funny things that happen. By the way, per one of our listeners, and I've just been inspired greatly, as you may know. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. A lot of different things.
Yeah.
And I'm prepared for all of it. But per her and other things, welcome to the Any Last Words pod. My name is Earl Lonnie Hooks. A very, very special thanks to everybody that will be joining us today on SoundCloud, Apple, Spotify, as well as YouTube. And please do not forget to follow us at ALW Pod on Instagram. The guy to me still honors the God in each and every one of you. This is Mikey. So the thing is, it was it was Star something or Galaxy something, but it had something to do with the interstellar workings.
And I remember a quote you said, the dude.
The thing that's crazy about it is like when you listen or you like kind of harken back on these super pivotal moments, right? And you have no idea how it's going to like cascade in the future. So I was reading this book that this guy gave me, Starcraft. Mm-hmm. That was the name of it, Starcraft. Mm-hmm. And he gave me one of these books, and I think it was like one of many books in that series.
It was a rack of books.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just read one, and I was like, I don't really do science fiction, I don't really do that type of shit. But I was stupid. That was stupid of me to think because it doesn't matter. It's about the story within it. Yeah. It's about the things within it. And so I read it, and I don't remember being like blown away by the story or anything going on in it.
It was one thing.
It was one thing
that the character said in the book.
It was what happened. So it was this guy in a ship, and he was in like an intergalactic sort of like war, and him and a bunch of people were escaping. Yep. And in order to escape, he had to press some button on the ship, and the Starcraft sent out some huge magnetic wave that connected every single person like in the galaxy chasing them.
Their mind was all boom.
And that hive mind was created. Yeah. And the whole war stopped.
They were like, what the fuck?
And it was like because everyone understood fully everyone else's position.
Right.
And it was the first time I legitimately remember, this was like 10 years ago, but I remember looking at the book 11 years ago, looking at the book almost 12 years ago, actually. Yeah. Because I'm about to be 32 January. Looking at the book and thinking for the first time, like, whoa.
That's a crazy thought.
Like, if you understood, now it's a primitive thought to me, but like if you understood someone, truly understood them, you wouldn't have problems.
No.
Like, you would see it truly from their standpoint, and like, you wouldn't have a problem with them. You wouldn't have a reason to be at war.
That's why I get caught up a lot just talking to almost anybody. Like, I can be walking down the street, like some homeless crazy dude, walk up on me. He'll start talking, and my first thought is like, I want to know what he's thinking. Like, how is he thinking this? And I'll get caught up just thinking from his perspective. And I can really start talking to people like that.
Yeah. You're just sitting there, like, what are you? Because I know what it feels like on my end to do what it is you're talking about. And I know. So when you're looking at them and they just run up to you and start talking, hey man, listen, what's going through your mind? Like,
my first thought is, okay, clearly I'm not the first person he's done this. Like, he's not fucked up on.
Of course.
But I might be the first one to listen.
Okay.
I might be the only one today that stopped and listened to him. Okay. Not even talk to him, just not.
There's a high probability.
You know what I mean? Like,
if you really, actually stop and look at them.
Right. And I'm looking at it and I'm like listening to what he's saying. And I'm like, damn, like maybe he has something real in that little nugget. Maybe he doesn't. At the end of the day, like, I just want to hear what that brain's thinking right now.
Right.
Because what can you be going through to be on the street like this, just talking to people? It's got to be a different mind than what everybody else walking around. That's a different brain right there. So that's like interesting to me.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, like it's different. You mean simply because, well, the thing is, homelessness is created for a lot of different reasons.
Most of them are just like
mentally ill.
That's it.
Right, as JP and I talked about on the last one, dropped out from like the foster care system or aged out of it or some shit like that, and they don't have any roots. They don't know who to go to, so you just out there. Yeah, you have no skill set, no trades, no nothing,
no connection,
and you just out there.
You ended up far. Maybe the mental illness led you down the road of trying some drugs. Now you're four hours away from your hometown. Don't even know what city you're in. Just walking around.
That's a story.
Yeah. Like the one dude, remember months ago I hit y'all up, so the one dude walked up on me at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And he was just like, yeah, they beat me up. They took my motorcycle, my hands cut. And for like a second, like I'm sitting there looking at him like, is he being real? Because he did have a cut. But then at the end of the story, he asked for $22 exactly to get out of the city. And I mean, I knew he was bullshitting. But I sat there and I talked to him for like a good 5 minutes. And at 4:30 in the morning to talk to somebody for that long, that was a long interaction.
Yeah, it is. $22.
Yeah. You can just walk out of the city. Like, you don't need money to leave the city. He was like, I tried to call my daughter, but the bank won't let me get my money. And I was just like,
yeah, the thing is, yeah, when you're talking to people again that seem like sort of cognitively impaired or fogged up, you're right. Like there's always like something. A lot of times there's a lot of things there. Like they have a lot of gems. It's just a lot of fog and shit. Like they're in a labyrinth in their mind. You know what I mean? And it just it's crazy.
And one thing that got me that he said that kind of on that point was like, he's like, yeah, nobody ever has cash anymore. But you know what everybody does have? They have these boxes that are in the wall. You can walk up and you can put a piece of plastic in it and you can get some cash. And I was just like, yeah, he's right. I do have my card on me and there is an ATM right there. And I walked away and I was like, damn, like he was right. So I went to the ATM to get the money out, but like the door for the ATM was locked. I couldn't get in there. So I was like, damn. But if I had been able to get in there, I would have gave him a little 20 because he was right. I could have gave him some cash.
Well, yeah, because new age homeless people have like square spaces on them. Like they got the little squares, and they usually be like, "Oh, I don't got any cash. Oh, don't worry about it. I got this right here."
Yeah.
Just pull that and look at you. Now what? Now you got the money, right?
Yeah. That's not an excuse no more. That was the first time I got hit with that.
But then some people do still like. But then it's all right. But do I want to swipe this?
Oh no.
You know what I mean?
Going, no.
That's
his card. After that,
that's the follow up. And I've been thinking about homeless people, like especially in this season, because this must be like this is the season of giving and joyfulness and all that sort of stuff. So it's probably like the hot season for them. Like they know if they out, there's a much better chance. Like you probably get more money at this point in time.
It's cold,
and then there's going to be a dry season too.
Yep.
Where people are like, nope, I just gave out a ton of money. I just bought a bunch of gifts for family and friends. Like, I'm not giving this person any money. So it's kind of like, I kind of see it as like hibernating, like squirrels getting a bunch of nuts together. And cause like you gotta, if you're smart, you hit the streets now, get a bunch of money. and you try to save as best you can as a homeless person, because there is going to be a dry season that comes. Like, I'm certain, just as there's a giving season, there's going to be a season afterwards that follows where people don't want to go out and spend money or give money. There's got to be the opposite of that.
Oh, it's got to be like a
where like charity isn't hot in a certain month or a certain days, couple months,
certain days, certain seasons. This is why times, normal people will go out there and do that. Like,
what do you mean?
Like, there was a story. I mean, there's plenty of stories, but one I know for sure about an actual person that I saw. They were like, no, like they did a story on that guy. He was just like a regular guy who would just go out. He knew where to go, where to ask, and he was caking 200, 300 a day. Just asking for money.
Yeah, and so that was just like a little side hustle. Said like he had like a full-time job.
Never said he wasn't homeless. Like, even in the stories, like, I never said I was homeless. I just go ask for money, and people just give me money.
I mean,
I was like,
yeah, that's not crazy.
I couldn't do it. I don't want to be outside all day.
Yeah.
I'm good off
It's just a different hustle. It's just like anyone that has a what are those GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes people just like, yo, just give me your money. Like, I'm fine. I just want money, and people will give it to me.
I saw a dude who went viral because he wanted to GoFundMe to go on his senior trip, and it just gained steam, and people just cashed him out.
Yeah, people will give money. And then you also have, people that are just giving their money away to scammers too. People have money to give, and people are giving money out. People are getting money one way or another.
Yeah, it's just always transferring.
What was that dude that just got caught up? Like, he was like a millionaire. Like, this, what was he, like a Jamaican dude or no, he was an African guy. That just it was in the chat the other day, like not too long ago, but like, they're making a lot of money.
Yeah.
If you just have houses full of people making calls all day long. Yeah. Chances are, I mean, there are a lot of very naive people. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, because they're always coming up with new ways to get you. Like, they're not just you running the same scam.
I know, but I feel like it doesn't matter.
Sometimes
like, it doesn't matter what new scam.
You're right.
I'm not getting caught up in it. Do you know how good the scam has to be?
Yeah. I mean, they've been close, but they always slip up and say one thing, and I'm just like,
what are they asking you to do?
The best one that ever came my way was back in 2016. After I tore my ACL, I went and I got an MRI. Like 4 weeks later, like, I get a call from like that area code. And it was like, yeah, we're from the MRI, like the doctor office, and you still have an outstanding balance for your imaging. And I'm thinking, okay, I thought insurance like paid for that, but I'm like, they knew that I was there getting an MRI, so I'm like, oh. So then I was like, all right, give me a second, I'll give you a call back. So then I ended up figuring out that my insurance did pay for it. Yeah. So now I'm like, so why the hell would they call? So I called them back, like, no, my insurance said they pay for it. Like, no, we don't have any, no
record of it.
Yeah, so they start asking for information, like, can you verify your, and I was just like, I'm not verifying shit to you. Social Security, nah. And then as I talked to her longer, she started getting impatient. Like, well, it's your bill, you gotta pay it. And that's when I was like, okay, I see. So somebody in that office was just giving out information. Yeah. So that was a close. I know they got people.
Yeah, you can't slip up and start getting like impatient and all that sort of stuff.
Because I'm on the phone with them, like my insurance. I just talked to them. They said that they paid it, and they're like, no, it's still here. Can you want to verify your Social Security number? And I'm just like, why would I have to do that to pay a bill? Why would I have to do? You already have my number. You know it's me. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you calling me.
What do I? Yeah.
Don't call me and ask me to verify with you. Yeah, no. You verify with me, nigga.
That's what I'm like, who are you? That's when I was like, what? She's like, what's your bill? You still got to pay it. She got real mad because I like kind of called that out. And I was like, y'all almost had me. Like,
no, that was a decent one. That was a decent one. He was
close. Yeah,
but there are way too many people ready to get caught up by a scam. So yeah.
They send text now. They'll send you a text to be like, hey, your Amazon account just got hacked. Mm-hmm. Like, you need to click this link and like figure out what's going on. Right. And then you'll click the link. It tells you to log in. Mm-hmm. And people like try to log in, then it won't work. They're like, oh, you need to call. Yeah. So you call, like, you need to verify your card number because, or they'll text you saying it's your bank. Hey, we just had an attempt. Somebody trying to get into your account. You need to log in and call. Mm. So then you call, you verify it, and then people are so worried that oh shit, they're getting my shit. I need to. I need to
just
stop
little
this.
by little, they're just giving them more and more and more information. Right. Yeah.
Right. And it happens quick. You know it. And it's like boom. Then once they got it, it's gone.
That's weird.
Yeah,
Dude was telling me about some new scam. Like he was watching some documentary about like these home squatters. Like they find a way like in your home.
Listen.
And then in certain places, like by law, if you allow them into your house and they stay there and like they're allowed to start getting their mail there, like if they get their mail directed there, they technically live there, and now you can't just kick them out on the street or something.
I tell you what, it's some loopholes, and people, I've seen like videos of people coming home and people being in their house like, like, nah, and
they're just like, you'll get out, and it was like, no, I live here now.
At that point, Wild West. If you're gonna Wild West and just be in the house, all right, I'm coming in too. And one of us is not walking out the way we walked in. That's how we gonna handle this one. I'm not calling no law. We're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, it's the law of the streets at this point.
Yeah, because that's crazy. Because if the cops pull up and they have mail there, now it's gonna be weird.
Bro,
like,
that's weird.
What if the cops pulled up and they had like, look at my ID?
And you're sitting there like, look at the lease. Like my name is on it. Their name isn't anywhere here. It's like, but why are they getting mail here? Fuck, I don't know. Like I didn't see this guy. I don't. Why does he have all of his stuff in here? Why like?
Yeah, you look like you coming back from vacation.
Yeah, that's
you look
weird.
like the one moving in.
Damn. Nah, that's crazy. Yeah, scammers are good. But anywho, all right, let's throw some intention into this.
All right.
Because there's actually a lot to talk about. There's a lot to get to. I think it should start with maybe some of the reason I try to kind of move away. And it's funny because when you own a platform like this, you can really do whatever the fuck you want to do whenever you want to do. So I can just like, take something away, put something back, like an introduction. I can do whatever I want to do. And so I feel like some of where I've been recently doing this is I had stepped away for a long time. I came in here with the true intention of, I want this to be as meaningful as possible.
Right.
And then at some point I decided, you know what? Let me just relax and let me just hang out with the people.
It's just the growth of how it's going.
I know. And now we're about to grow another way.
Right.
And I'm going back.
All right.
Because that's what I want to do. That's what I come here for. And like, so to ever feel like I pressed that space bar to stop this recording and I didn't do that thing, and then I go to bed is not a good feeling.
You feel like, I could have.
Like it could have been like, what were we talking about?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, and I'm not going to just talk about like certain episodes, but unfortunately that's how I felt on certain ones.
Right.
And that is a fault of mine, no one else's. And then I was inspired by a few different things. One, that I've been on a weekly therapy session, like routine for like, it's been like 3 of them throughout the last month, which is the Psilocybin therapy session. For people that don't know, is just the scientific
long name
botanical version of magic mushrooms.
Right. And I knew from earlier this year, when you went on the Incredible, and you were talking about, because it was brewing in my brain, and I was like, I feel like this year might be a year where niggas get the psychonauting. On this level.
Psychonauting, mind sailing.
Yeah, I feel like this might be a year where it happens. But I didn't even suggest it. I just let it happen naturally. Didn't even say nothing.
Yeah. And that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
And so now 3 within the last month.
Oh yeah.
And 1, I only ever have great times.
Yeah.
There's never anything unsettling about any of these things for me. Which is funny because Keon called me yesterday, and like as soon as I let you all know that another one was taking place, I guess 2 days ago, he like called me, FaceTime me. He was just looking in the camera, just like, nigga. He was just like, you good? Like, everything good in the house? Like everything, like I'm just trying to make sure. Like
he was
no
like, draws on with a knife.
He was like, you do this again, you reaching fiend status. Like, you good, bro? You good? And I'm just like,
Like
right.
It's not like that.
I'm like, wow, man. But it's okay, just uneducated in this realm. Like, it's like, you don't know. Like, you don't know. You don't understand the feeling. You don't understand you don't know. You just don't know.
You can't say it like that.
No.
Well, you can.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
And so this is the thing. Because I was watching Michael Pollan's How to Change Your Mind on Netflix.
Yeah.
Because I had just finished the last episode yesterday on mescaline, which is the peyote cacti that, indigenous people get from, what is it, like Mexico?
Out there, walking up the mountains and whatnot.
And oh my gosh, first of all, that was in the middle. I was watching that in the middle of my psilocybin treatment.
Wonder what you were thinking.
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm looking at it and I have felt this on various occasions. I mean, when it comes to psilocybin, it's been like 6-7 times now. When it comes to LSD, it's been like 12 or 13. But I understand these feelings. I understand visuals. I understand what it's like physiologically. I understand what it's like in your mind.
You know what's going on.
I know what's going on. I've been able to now, since I've done it for so long, be able to look at things in retrospect, and I've been able to track things. Like, I know what it is. What I'm saying is, if you haven't done it, like, you don't know what it is. You don't know what's going on. And so it's easy to get swept up in whatever bullshit it is you think about it.
Most of it's through pop culture and movies, the way they portray it. Because
it's weird.
They don't know how to portray it.
And it's weird through pop culture.
You can't portray thinking.
This has been the closest that I have seen.
Yeah.
And so when I'm watching
descriptive for us.
I'm like, this is a true, and also people's experiences when they talk about it.
Talking about
it's like, this isn't, isn't some scripted bullshit.
Yeah, this is not a movie.
They did that shit.
Yeah, they were, and they were putting people on there who were like against a lot of it at first. People who were just like, I don't know about this. Then they tried it and they describe it and they're like, I get it now. I fully get it now. It's almost like you get to step back and watch your brain think.
Yeah, you're like, okay, there are all these other people that maybe they don't say all the same things as you, but they share roughly
say little bits to kind of paint the full picture.
Right. And that's exactly what that show is. But as I'm watching it, I'm thinking, this must sound like, I would love to know what it looks and sounds like to someone that has never tried it. Because I would imagine it seems real fanciful and like fantasy and like, you know what I mean? Real fantastical type of, and I'm like, this must look crazy on the outside. Like, I don't know if this, but it's spot on.
Yeah.
It's spot on. So if anyone decides to watch that show and they hear this podcast, I want them to know the people in that show are not lying. It doesn't,
they are telling the damn truth. Like,
and so there are many ways to go about this, because I've been having conversations with various people that have done different things. I just talked to a guy that's from Peru a few days ago about his experiences with ayahuasca.
That's one that I've always,
just thought about it. The toad juice, the toad serum.
Because that's what is it? MEO, DMT. It's a form of DMT on the toad.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Right. And that's supposed to be like the one. Like the big dog,
they're all. What it seems like is like they're all little. Like, it depends on like what it is you're kind of going for. Like, some of them are much more visual. Like for me, like LSD was it's much more visual, heady sort of experience than like shrooms. Shrooms seems like it's much more about your body, and like you feel much more connected. Your muscles are super relaxed, and there can be some slight visuals, but it's not super amplified like taking 200 micrograms of LSD would be.
I think the best visual that I've ever seen, there's two of them: the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, the way they show the floor, and then in Midsummer.
Oh, Midsummer did a good job.
The visuals,
right? Because it was it was
wasn't
subtle
in your face. You had to like look at it, and it was just,
you would
breathing a little bit.
Yes. That is
like,
it.
Damn, they got that spot on. Like,
breathing.
I was like, whoever put that one together, they definitely.
Yeah, just like random things, like someone's like skin, like you kind of see like their pores kind of opening up and closing, but it's very subtle things. You know what I mean? You just see slight like
little dancing.
dancing, you know what I mean? Like distortion, sort of like when you walk outside on a really hot day. Yeah. You can kind of see like, I guess like gas traveling through the air or whatever, heat waves, whatever that is, when you look off in the distance and you see like slight distortion.
Little movement in there.
Exactly. Something like that. And you know, this got me to, I mean, this is one of the many things that got me to meaning, coming back here and just trying to inject meaning through here and doing nothing else. Cause to be honest, I don't care about anything else.
Right.
Like I've tried sometimes to distance myself from like the deep guy in life. But like, I actually just don't care about things. I've even tried to like watch things or listen to things that just do not connect to me on a soulful level, and I just can't even do it. Right. Like I'm looking at it like, what am I watching?
But I think that's part of
what am I looking? I don't want to do this.
I think that like builds you too, though, to look at and consume something that you know you don't really care about. Yeah. To reaffirm that, I don't care about it.
Yeah, like I really don't care about this. I don't want to do it. I just don't. And it's funny too, because a show like that is not sensationalized. And I'm realizing that I don't care for the super heavy, clickbaity, in your face, like trying to somehow overly sensationalize the content.
Oversell it.
Like, let the content be what it is. And if I like it, then I like it.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that, another point on that a little bit later as well, because I'll talk to you about something I've been watching that is not sensationalized at all. Don't nobody give a shit about it. And I'm enthralled in this thing.
Okay, man.
Yeah.
I got one of those too, yeah.
And I'm watching this thing. And I'm watching the mescaline, the peyote cacti in Mexico. And what's funny is we were just talking about the Washington Commanders before this, right? Formerly known as the Washington Redskins. Yep. And just how crazy it is for anybody to just like fight the fact that they are no longer the Redskins and just want to call them the Redskins. Like, just like they're the Washington Commanders now. Like just, out of spite, out of spite. Just like, relax.
Yeah.
And there are certain things that I get about this day and age, like trying to move forward. And I also believe that there is overcorrection for things, and that we're going to always have to, as you spoke about before, the pendulum swings. So like we're going to have to like move a certain way and try to make room for certain people that feel offended for certain things and want to feel, not marginalized and whatever, and encouraged and whatever the fuck else. And then there are going to be times where it's getting to be too much and people are asking for too much and it's getting too weird, and we'll have to like go backwards. Now, I don't know how you feel about, I'm going to take a slight detour. How you feel about Thanksgiving being called Families Giving now?
Yes, another word for it.
I don't care.
I don't care what the word is.
Really? I don't care. My thing is, this is my thinking on it, because I said Thanksgiving at Thanksgiving, and like my dad was like, oh, it's Families Giving now, because the people need to start thinking. We can't just keep, and the whole point was, Thanksgiving is, we're changing that over because there's bad past with it. Right. We understand.
Right.
People came over here. Christopher Columbus and the rest of his niggas came over here. Yep. And was acting like things were cool. Teach us the land. Teach us how to do these things with the Native Americans. Native Americans being who they were. Invited them in, right? And then, lo and behold, disease and massacre came, and clearly and theft of land.
And they told us that they sat down, had this big meal.
Right. Now, is that all? Because see, is that all they told us? Did they not tell us that there was a darker side to it? Because when did we figure that out?
No, that was after high school for damn sure.
Okay, so none of that
our high school years for damn sure.
Okay, so that was never put in the books.
Nah.
Okay, yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, nah.
Now here's my problem.
Because I remember the day when I found out. I was like, hey, yo, they did what? Not we. They did what? Oh, and they said we've been doing what?
Now to intertwine it back with this show for a second.
Yeah.
It is crazy that let me stop that, because you're right.
Yeah, that's it. She is.
They came over from England to America for freedom.
Yep.
Right? That's what they came over here for, to leave the church, to leave England so that they could practice things the way that they wanted to here in America. And religion was a big part of that, to be able to have it their own way. Right?
Right.
And then they killed a bunch of other people, took away their land, and also told them that they could not perform their religion.
And then built a monument about it.
Like, what monument are we being specific about?
Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore. Oh, damn.
They put that there so that when the natives see that, they know, oh, white man's land start here. Y'all go back that way. Why would put up 4 big white faces in like
big white face
in the middle of nowhere? That just sounds weird. Like, why'd y'all put that there?
That is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Big white faces.
And I'm pretty sure the main dude who like funded it and ran that project was like, I think he was heavy in the Klan.
No, I don't know any of that.
Yeah, this should get weird.
But again, the hypocrisy to leave the church, leave England, come over here, try to start your own thing, and then do the same thing that they were doing to you here, except worse. Take these kids, because they were doing their own thing. It wasn't about they weren't going through school and all this. Took the children from their parents, brought them to all these other places, Pennsylvania, Florida, and started indoctrinating them with their ways, Christianized them, made them start learning their things, cut their hair, change their names, all that sort of shit. Change the name, right? All this crazy stuff, and took away their right to use the peyote cacti, which was a part of their religion. It was not just a drug. They're using it as a part of their religion, as a part of their ceremony.
A lot of the substances are that.
Right. That's what it is. And everyone always speaks about it seeming like it was from God,
the earth,
and it like shows earth. You God.
Like ayahuasca, like specifically, like you're supposed to, like, you meet like the earth, like consciousness.
I believe it.
It'll like the earth will communicate with you.
I believe it.
And I'm like, that makes sense, because the planet wouldn't just be a non-living thing. How could a bunch of like living cells just be on some like non-living organism? I think the earth itself is alive.
It's like a breathing.
It's a living, breathing being. It's just way bigger than us. We don't really understand it unless you consume something that it's here for, so we could talk to you like, hey, why don't you live like this while you're here?
And that's been my experience on it.
Yeah.
Is, again, removes the ego and shows you what is really happening before you load all of your bullshit on top of it.
That's the best.
Like that is mode. It. Like, it's like when you just take away all that stuff and you're like, oh, this is just what's really going on.
Yeah.
I'm just out here with all of my dumb human bullshit on top of it, which makes no sense.
Yeah, that's the no ego, or stripping the ego. When you separate from it, like, I can't even really explain it now, because right now I am the ego. So like, I can't even really speak from that like state of mind. I can remember being there. Yeah.
What's interesting to me is, so, because I'm going to ask you some questions about that. That's a fact. That's also a lot of my intention here, to start asking way more questions. And I'll talk to you more and more about that later on. I'm looking at these young kids out there picking these peyote cacti with their moms, their dads, their uncles, aunts, grandparents, friends of the family. Like, and I'm just sitting there. Me and the lady are looking at it like, wow.
They living differently.
Wow. And they don't even, in order for them to have this, because they fought very hard through the courts for a long time in order to be able to have usage of this, legal usage of this peyote cacti.
Right.
And in order to do that, they can't do like filming and try to commodify and all this sort of stuff. So filming isn't allowed within the ceremony.
Right.
You can be outside the tent, but you can't go inside. But I was sitting there just melting away, just looking at like 30, 40 people inside of a tent. Again, I can't see, but you just all these people funneling inside this tent, and you just know that it's just a community of loved ones about to go in there around a fire, maybe do a little dancing, singing, talking, praying, and eating this peyote cacti, and just in going to meet God and have therapy in a sense,
That's
like
it.
purge these fears that they
getting
have.
better. They're just all in there mentally getting better together.
And then I was like,
Spiritually.
you know what? It's come up as I do this. I don't give a fuck how many times I do it. I'm gonna keep doing it. It's come up in J. Cole songs. It's come up in Kendrick songs. Meaning matters to me.
Right.
It's meaning. Literally, just like it's in the word. It matters to me. And evolution matters to me. I don't know what I would be doing here on this planet if it wasn't evolving. Like if my intention wasn't to continue to do things that help me evolve, I don't know what I would be doing here.
Yeah.
Like why? Like I wouldn't want to be if somehow the privilege or the capability of being able to evolve was taken away from me knowingly. I don't think I would want to do this anymore.
No, you wouldn't.
And I'm like, that's a large part of what's missing in my relationships with certain people. Is it's not just like we can have super stimulating conversation about whatever the fuck in the world. Like that's cool.
Yeah.
But I'm into healing. Like I'm into absorption of cure.
Right.
And when I think about like family members or friends, I'm like, damn. How cool would it be if I could, if we could. Now, again, also at the same time, simultaneously understand that I have no desire to change other people. I have no desire to try to wrangle people, corral people to do something that they don't want to do. None of that. I don't, because I have what I have for me, and that's completely fine, and that's enough.
You just roll with how it's
whatever's going on.
Yeah.
But man, if my family, just imagine like all of my family and all of your family and all of like the family of all of our close friends, like came together and sat in a tent with a fire, and we just decided we were just going to like micro dose on like things like once a month or something like that.
Or like instead of everybody getting together at like, I don't know, the wedding and everybody drinking, everybody got together and drank like a mushroom tea.
You know what I'm saying? And see, that's that bullshit. because drinking,
you would remember that.
Drinking is cool, right?
It's fun.
Like we can all go out and like everyone wants to go out and drink, and everyone wants to go out and like people go out and smoke weed together,
right?
But like it's like these certain plants that show you certain things where people just like, oh wait, no, hold on now.
Yeah, but I can't blame them though, because I think because that's how the system set it up. But now it's changing. Yeah,
there's definitely a shift.
So
there's definitely a shift happening.
I'm excited for how this world goes. I don't know, it's weird in that aspect in like the next like 15 years, because it's being legalized in a bunch of different states again, just like how weed was getting legalized.
Right.
The shrooms are getting legalized. I'm sure like the LSD will follow, and I think they'll just open it up and be like, you know what? Like, what are we doing here? As newer generations come in there, you start getting politicians in there who've tried it, or the scientists that come out and they can publish their results because now they can test it. Yes. Now they can use it to study. So now it's like you can see scientific studies of what it's doing for people.
And that's why I texted my dad immediately after the show went off, and I was like, I need you to watch this show. Yeah. And after you watch this show,
hit me back.
You and I are gonna talk. We're gonna sit down.
You don't gotta try it. Just watch the show.
Yeah, but he'll be open to watching it. Yeah. And he may even be open to doing it
after watching the show.
Yeah. But it's good because it's not shown in some like weird way.
Right. It's not.
These are level-headed people just talking about something that
And like,
you may or may not really know about.
I like the fact that they were interviewing people who were like older that like grew up like, nah, you don't do this, you don't do no shrooms, you don't.
Right.
And then their doctor was like, you know what? Let's just try this. And then they were like, okay, I don't got nothing else to lose. They tried it and they were like, bruh, I had no idea. Like that, I had no idea that's what it was going to be like.
And I have looked at it time and time again as the place where you go, where you can rewire things, where you can go back to the drawing board and erase some things and like be like, okay, you know what, let's look at this a different way.
That's literally what's happening in your brain. Your brain is literally creating new neural pathways.
Right.
You're thinking in ways that you never thought before. You're building new roads.
You're carving new paths.
You're literally making new physical roads in your brain.
Yeah.
You're upgrading.
Yeah.
Like that's.
Yeah, you're like refining your roadmap, your brain map.
Yeah, you're just kind of like, oh wait, this is a shortcut. I can just do it like this.
Right.
I can think this way, like.
And that's what it is I've always, since the very beginning, since I did it first at 21, I've always felt like your consciousness or your awareness or whatever you want to call it is like a sphere in a sense, with all this little knowledge and stuff inside of it, all these things you understand or you think you understand. But there are always these things like right on the outside that you understand as like abstract ideas. And it's like, that sounds nice. Right. Like I get it, but like I don't feel that though.
Right.
And then you do one of these mind-altering substances that kind of expands that sphere out. And then all those things that were right on the outside are now subsumed by this consciousness. And you're like, okay. Now I understood that before. Yeah. But now I feel it. I understand it in just like a granular way, like a cellular way.
Yeah. I think what it's doing is, I think it's kind of like unlocking the door a little bit, cracking the door open to the subconscious. So now you can kind of really imagine things instead of just thinking about it. Like you can like fully picture it, imagine it, and then you can get with it. You're like, oh, I see what that would be like. Right.
And what's funny is some people take it and don't go through any of these things that we're talking about at all.
No.
So that's also an interesting, not a kind of counterpoint to, you saying you're really excited because we don't know what will happen.
Yeah.
Like we don't know how exactly it'll touch people or it'll change people or the course of the future for people. Yeah. We have no idea at all. So it will be interesting as these things continue to be decriminalized, a huge decriminalized nature. Like just stop trying to criminalize things that grow from the ground.
Like what's his name says it, Graham Hancock says it the most. Like what do you think a president would look like if they were somebody who had like 5 or 6 trips?
They would be someone that doesn't want to be the president.
Yeah. Or, you know who did? You know apparently who did have some trips?
Bill Clinton. Oh no, I just said a name that seemed like, because one, he was the guy that allowed the indigenous people to have the pay.
I don't know if Bill Clinton did or not, but I do know of one for sure. Just take a wild guess.
Obama?
No, we know he smoked a little weed. Oh. we know he was hitting that pack, but
hold on, who?
John F. Kennedy.
Okay.
Yeah. Kennedy.
What did they say he was doing?
Well, a lot of things that he wanted to do was like disband the CIA, like look into certain connections.
No, but what were they saying? Like what substance
LSD.
was he doing?
LSD.
Huh. Yeah.
And he started questioning some things and bam.
Yeah, it's rough, man.
Yeah.
You got to be careful at the top. You got to be careful at the top with like what you know and like how you're thinking about things. Yeah, that's kind of it's kind of scary. But anywho, so I definitely hit my dad up about this. I definitely think it would be awesome for him to watch it because I love like getting older and being able to have that sort of discussion with your family.
Because it's not as crazy as it once was. Like they don't. The way that I think it was just the way it was portrayed, man. Like the way that movies would show it and the way the shows would show it, the way they would talk about it, the way they taught people.
Yeah,
programs.
and it's so much. It's not even. I don't care about the. I mean, clearly, I don't care about the craziness of it. Like, I don't care about the visuals. I don't care about I don't care about the interstellar ride. Right. It's not what it is. it's just
trying to get your brain right. Just
like trying to clear out the cobwebs and like allow you to be in a state long enough to realize you've been on some bullshit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And be like, okay, cool. Like, and it's not going to fix everything, because I feel like there are various things that have to be put in place. It's not like you're just going to start taking psychedelics and everything's going to be all right. Like that. No. Like that's not the way it goes. Like it is a tool like other ones that should probably be placed in tandem with other things.
Yeah, you get to kind of unscrew some screws where things are too tight in the brain, unscrew it, relieve some pressure off that, see what's going on. You get to see how your brain is really working. You get to, for me, it like slows down thoughts to a point where I can like pick out how thoughts work. Like, oh, that's what a thought is. That's why an idea would pop into my brain and where it would start and where it would come from. And you can kind of like take an idea and go all the way back to the source of it.
Like, that's what you.
Or like fears. Like I call them challenging trips.
Okay.
I like them. It's like the same way I like workouts. Like a workout doesn't feel good while you're working out, but you know that while you're working out, this is good for you, and afterwards you feel a lot better. So like if I start to have like a challenging trip, like I know like, oh, bet, like this is challenging. I'm working something out in my brain, and I know that once I get past this little challenge, it's gonna feel so fucking fire.
And that's what the guy from Peru told me about his ayahuasca trip. He was saying that because he did it with a whole shaman and a group of people.
Yeah, you can sign up for it now.
Oh yeah,
you can go online and you can find groups. They don't just take you there and do it like you like.
Yeah, no.
There's a process you work through. You do a lot of meditating. You do a lot of you just do a lot of.
He said it was like the day of, like it's a whole like 6 hour long process. That
they took him they don't just like, here you go. Yeah, like no, it's legit.
They were telling him it's like there's a good chance that you may be presented with like a labyrinth of sorts, like a maze, and the only way when you get stuck, the only way you're going to be able to get past this wall, which very well may present itself as a fear, a big fear of yours, is you have to look at it.
Right.
You are going to have to stare at it and concentrate. Right. And you have to understand that we're here, like you're not in danger. We're here. If you see any other presences there, they're also there to support you.
It's all there to help you.
Exactly. So just focus on it. Bruh. You will be okay. Just focus on it, and it will collapse, and then you will be able to move forward.
Now, look, do you remember a couple years ago when Will Smith put out that video of him skydiving?
Yeah. And
you remember how I've been saying, even he said it now, that he's had a lot of trips. I think he was using that skydiving as what's the word for it? Like a double entendre, like a secret meaning to explain trips.
Okay.
Because he was saying that like on the opposite side of fear is bliss. Like,
Yes. I remember him saying those words exactly.
I know what he was saying. Like, it might be a challenge. It might be like fear, but once you get past that, it shit opens up wide open, and then it's bliss.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like all of this, if you go through it, and even again, as he's trying to do, which is very smart, and this is kind of what you have to do, right? Is you have to try to find metaphorical ways to talk about it with other people. And so if you understand what it's like to truly face a fear, after it, you're like, oh, that's just that thing now. Oh, and if you keep doing that over and over, there's just going to be a point where you're just like, oh, I can just walk around now. Yeah. Like I can just walk around life anxiety free.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to anticipate this thing coming up because I no longer am thinking about that. Like, it's no longer a thing. And anxiety, for sure, being something that has swept the planet, right? And it seems like everybody has anxiety. Like, everybody talks to you about their anxiety.
Anxiety, depression, everybody.
I was explaining this to someone the other day. They were like... They were explaining to me a fit of anxiety they were kind of having with a boss of theirs, and they're like, they're just an asshole, and they just keep, every time I talk to them, it's just like it's not a pleasant experience with them, and it just like it fucks with me, like, and I'm like, all right, but keep this in mind, you're on one of your days off right now, you're not at work. but this is on your mind. That's thing
heavy. That's crazy.
is not there.
Right.
But yet it's there in your mind.
Yeah.
You are dealing with something that is not there. You're fighting an opponent who is not here. They're just like, no, or like, you don't get it, like every time. And I'm just like, but is it happening right now?
Man.
You're not. You need to get away from this hypothetical moment that may happen in the future and has happened in the past. Like, you're missing out on all of the moments that aren't those moments, and if you think about all the moments that aren't those moments are minuscule.
Right.
You meet those moments every so often in your whole scope of life. Mm-hmm. And in those moments, you can fix those moments. But you don't have to fix those moments in the moments that you're not in those moments.
Exactly. And the way you're explaining it is exactly how you're explaining, like, an idea being just on the outside of being able to understand it. Like, yes. To you get it.
Yes.
And you can tell it to them and you can say it. Like, I'll tell them in ways that I'm like, I know it sucks right now, but like 5 years from now, you're not even going to be there anymore. Like, this is not going to exist in the future. So the problem really doesn't even exist at all. But it's like it's hard for people
to like wrap their mind. You just I just keep trying to find new ways. It's like, okay, you're worried about that thing, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Whatever it is in your life, everybody's got one. Everybody listening to this, just pick one that's going on.
Yeah.
But what you're not worried about is one of these other superpowers about to bomb America, right? Everybody has got nuclear weapons. And that's something that isn't on your mind every day.
Right.
But this whole shit could be wiped out at any time.
Asteroid.
But yet you worried that the gas price is too high that you just paid for. And I understand that. Like, that's an immediate thing in your life. You're worried about the fact that somebody cut you off in traffic and you still thinking about that hours later for some reason. Yeah. Or you're worried about your boss at work. There are all these things going on, but if that's the case, there are problems much larger than those that you never give any thought to at all.
Yep.
So at some point, it's really just a matter of what are you going to give your attention to and why? Mm-hmm. Now, this is a great segue because this is now empathy for me. Maybe you don't know how to have that conversation with yourself about what really matters. How to value something, right? And like what actually is deserving of your attention. Yep. Because maybe you're just like, well, no, this is a work thing. It matters. Like, I go to work, so therefore it matters. And that's good and all well. That's fine. I would say you probably haven't gone through enough of the conversation with yourself, right? But you can't. It's extremely difficult to do that if you have no inner monologue. Yeah. So here we are now, Mike. So you send a tweet into the chat a week ago.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a guy tweeting that like his day has been ruined. I think it was an old tweet. I don't think it's a new one. It may have been one that resurfaced.
Yep, I think it was.
It's from a guy named Ryan Langdon. And he tweeted that he figured out that over 50%, most people are not working with inner monologue. Also, by the way, because you and I just started using the word dialogue. Now, inner monologue and dialogue, the way that I have seen it posted online, because I've done my research since, trust me, those two are interchangeable. People just use the word inner monologue, dialogue. Like, it doesn't matter which one you use. Although those two words are different.
Yeah, man.
Mono and di, those are two different prefixes.
Anybody can just think.
But no, and that's the thing, is that like they can think. Now let's get into what experience and what thinking is a little bit. So this all came from, and I guess this guy has like a small following on social media or YouTube or whatever, which is why it even kind of got big. But he got that from the Dr. Russ Hurlburt that works at UNLV. He's a professor, and he's been doing something called D.E.S. for like over 50 years, which is descriptive experience sampling. And I was like, I need to know what this guy's doing in order to figure out whether people have an inner voice or not.
It's crazy.
Because for a long time, you're right, I didn't know that people didn't have a voice that speaks to them. Like that like when they try to think about things, that there are words that come into their mind and they can maybe hear a voice that goes along with it, and they can have conversation with themselves about any given topic. Like I didn't know
that was the shit I was talking about when I said I don't think people are like talking and having conversations with themselves. I think they just do shit. Like they just like
but
like how you explain the options. People have options. Like,
yes,
the option will just pop up and then it's like a little drop list, and then they just select one and go. But like I have the options too, but like I'm like, okay, nah, but
right. You're having conversations about what is worth aiming at, like what is worth going towards, like what is bias, what is not. Like you can, and you said that it seems like two entities.
Yeah.
So
just like off the cartoons, but not necessarily evil and good.
And good, yeah.
It's just like one on one side of the argument, one on the other side, and then there's like me. Like
now does that is that a descriptive way of looking at it, or does it actually feel like there are two things that couldn't see another way of speaking about it?
Yeah, it dead ass feels like there's two sides. One that sees it this way, one that sees it that way, and I'm sitting there listening to both of them explain their arguments, and I'm like, he's got a point. I'm like, nah, but he kind of got a point too.
Right. And then at the end of the day, you just have to make a decision.
I have to make a decision.
Yeah.
Which one's louder? Like, or which one am I listening? Because I can also listen to one more.
Yeah.
Like how David Goggins explains that, like, when you're working out, one voice is going to be telling you, "Hey, man, fuck it, stop." But just don't let that voice be louder than the other one.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of like where it comes for me, because, and maybe this has been one of the most difficult things for people that listen to understand when it comes to me, like understanding people. People can say something and I cannot wholeheartedly agree with them, but like I hear what they're saying and I understand it. I'm like, oh, maybe that wouldn't be the decision that I would make on it, but I understand it. But things come down to when you have to make a decision, right? So this is like voting. Yeah. So when you have these different sides that have these things, like I've heard good arguments for most things on both sides.
Right.
But at some point in time, you are going to have to vote or make a decision that says, I'm with these people.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be really nice if you could vote on various decisions as opposed to one party, like voting Democrat. I really wish you could vote on certain issues.
I said I wish the general election was for like everything. Even though I guess logistically
logistically it's gonna be wild.
It'd be crazy, but like, why can't we vote on the shit that the House is pushing through? Like, fuck that, push that to a general election. Let's go.
Well, we can't vote on it because, and this
we
is what's wrong with voting
on
anyway.
The motherfuckers who are going to vote. on this.
Because it's because we don't know enough. Like people don't know.
We don't, because they don't dig into it.
Things,
but if you get interested,
we also don't have time.
You're right.
Do you know how much time it takes to really know anything?
Yeah.
To like really, really know anything.
This is a little sidebar, but this is a thought I had. What if, like, I don't know, aliens came to Earth and they were like, yo, as a planet or countries, y'all got to vote on like one human to bring back, and we'll bring them back. Like, who do you think that
to bring back to life?
Yeah,
any human.
As a planet, who do you think the planet would vote for?
Who do I think? Oh, the whole planet.
Everybody get a vote. Everybody gets a vote. They're gonna bring back one human.
I would assume.
Who do you think
it would be?
Who do you think America would bring back if they did it by countries?
Who do we look at like that?
You probably bring back like Elvis,
bro. I was thinking, like, would it be someone that would shift the culture in that sort of way?
No.
Or I was thinking maybe we would just choose a great mind. Like we would go back to 3 people. Who, by the way, they said were taking some sort of drinks back in the day out of these small itty bitty cups. I forget what they're called. These small itty bitty clay cups that supposedly there were like these meetings of enlightenment that people like Plato, Aristotle, and Socrates would go to.
Yeah.
And these niggas is Plato, Socrates, and Aristotle.
I was getting right.
So I think that we might go that route. But then again, this is also me projecting.
Right.
So, but no way, dude.
You go to the voting booth, you write your name in, and then like 24 hours later, we get the results. Like, who do you think is going to pop up on the news? Breaking. They're going to bring back.
Wait a minute. What do you think?
I think they're going to bring back somebody dumb. All right. If they had it today, it'd be something dumb like Elvis, bro.
Wait a minute. Who gets the vote?
Everybody.
Children, like
18 and up.
Oh, 18 and up.
Make it 18 and up.
18 and up in America. Who
Popular
would we
vote.
bring back? Popular vote. Oh man, damn! You really think so?
You see what I'm saying? Like who? Like it wouldn't.
Because I'm not gonna fight it. Like baby, they might.
Who would do that? They'd bring
You
back,
think it'd be like a musician?
It'd be like a celebrity. It'd be like a celebrity within the past like 60, 70 years. They're not
Like
bringing,
someone that just died.
yeah, they did.
Oh man,
Yeah. You know, a lot of niggas gonna vote on Kobe. Like like.
Oh yeah,
They're not
like
bringing
people
back-
just gonna think about.
Yep.
Yeah, like someone. I suppose. I suppose. It's very. Damn.
Yeah.
Hold on, man. I don't know about that. Because first and foremost, if aliens came down, first of all, that'd be a huge revelation.
Right.
If like they decided to really make contact with all of us in a very blatant way,
Yeah.
all of our minds would change about everything. First of all, just off of that. So we're all having a trip just based off of that.
True.
And I think hopefully something like that would make us take it a bit more seriously and be like, guys, hold on. Like, we not finna do this. Don't you choose.
I guess it depends on how long we have to think about the decision.
Oh, yeah, you
If
definitely
there's like a month, there's gonna be campaigns like,
Yes.
we need to bring back blah, blah, blah. Albert Einstein.
And you know what's interesting is within that campaign, there's going to be, as always, a bunch of war.
Yep.
Because there's going to be people trying to like kill people off so that they don't, trying to suppress votes pretty much.
Yep.
It's like, hold on a second. Who did we hear that they're trying to vote for? We got to get them out of here.
Right.
Because they about to ruin this.
Right.
Because like we could bring a real great mind back. Like, are you kidding me? Yeah, there's some great, and I'm certain there's people just we're not even thinking about right now. They're like, that would be a great help to come back. And I don't I don't even know. Even if it was going to be someone that was like an artist or creator of some sort, I feel like, it needs to be like a Shakespeare or something like that. Like something that still moves the culture just through their stories and their words, something like that. Because a lot of times people don't care about, bro, The Breakfast Club gets way more views than any of these scientists that you and I watch or any of these psychologists or any of these people ain't checking for that stuff. And that brings me back to Russ Hurlburt. Yeah. His videos have I've not seen one of his videos that have more than 400 views. Not one. He's the only one doing descriptive experience sampling. And so this is what this is. He sits people down. It's so fascinating. Everyone just go to YouTube, look up Russ Hurlburt. I might throw his. I'm gonna throw his in the description. Yeah. I want to get on there too. I'm like commenting on his videos, trying to get his attention.
Yeah, yo,
bro,
test me.
He's having these discussions with people. It's like him and maybe like a graduate or something of his.
Right.
And they're sitting people down. They're turning the camera on, turning the microphones on. And this is so fascinating to me because no one ever does this. And this is another one of the things that, again, inspired me to bring true meaning back into this. Mm-hmm. This is the experiment. I give you a beeper. Sits like on the clip of your belt. You put one ear pod or, like in your earbud in your ear. You go on about your life. You choose some 3 to 4 hour period of your day, and within that day, you're gonna experience a series of beeps, boop, something like that, maybe a little bit longer. When that goes off, what your job is to do is to write down, probably your phone, pen pad, whatever the case is, exactly what it was you were experiencing the moment before the beep. Whatever it was you were experiencing, try to write that down as descriptively as you possibly can.
Okay.
And there'll probably be like a series of 6 beeps in that 3 to 4 hour span. You're going to come back. They're going to have an interview. They're going to sit you down and they're going to say, okay, beep 1, tell us what your experience was. And it's not until you watch this thing that you realize no one knows what they're going through.
That's crazy.
People start talking, and one, it's extremely difficult for people to speak about their experience because first of all, because it's a myriad of reasons. One, because I've been on this for a long time. You and I've talked about, and I've talked about on here, mindfulness for a long time. You can't tell me about something that you weren't there for.
Yeah.
I can't be like, hey, Mikey, tell me what the January 6th riots were like down in the streets. You'd be like, well, I mean, I wasn't there. Like, I can tell you what it looked like on the news. Like, I can't tell you what it was there from a first person experience. Why not? I wasn't there. Okay. Well, the thing is this. People be places, wherever they're at, but they're not there. And this is very, very difficult for people to understand.
That's crazy.
I've called people zombies for a long time.
Yeah. I call them empty vessels.
They will look at you. They can talk to you. They can have children. They can raise the children. They can go to their job. They can play sports. They can they can compute high calculations, high level. They can do all sorts of stuff. But a lot of times people are not there experiencing it. And so that's where the delineation is. What is experience? Like, what are we talking about?
Consciousness. To me.
So, in consciousness is a big word. It's a huge word. So they'll be like, well, describe what you were experiencing in that moment. And be like, okay, well, you know, I was at this place. I was eating a bowl of cereal and I was watching TV and, the person on the TV like said this thing and I was thinking about, what they said. And it made me think about, it made me think about family and like my family's kind of faces like kind of came up in my mind and I was thinking about my family and they'll start asking them questions like, okay, you were watching TV, you said, but you're also thinking about your family and you're also eating a bowl of cereal. So there are a few things going on here. And they'll say, oh, I felt really good because I was thinking about my family or I felt confused or whatever. And they'll be like, okay, so there are a few things going on in this moment. Mm-hmm. What of it was a part of your experience? And that already fucks people up. They're like, well, what do you like? I was watching TV. I was eating a bowl of cereal. And, I think because of the TV and what was on the TV, it made me think about my family. And they'll be like, no. I'm not asking you about your theory as to why this sequence of things happened. I'm asking you what was a part of your experience. Like, okay, so now I'm having a hard time. What are you saying? What are you asking me? What do you mean? What is a part of my experience? Well, you're eating a bowl of cereal, you're watching TV, you're thinking about your family makes you feel this way. When you were eating the bowl of cereal, like, was the bowl of cereal in your experience? What did the cereal taste like? What was going on with the cereal? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, well, I wasn't really eating the cereal in that way. I was like I was putting the cereal in my mouth, but I wasn't, like, I was just eating it. Like when I looked down, the bowl of cereal was gone. Like I didn't experience eating the bowl of cereal. I just ate the bowl of cereal. Like I knew that I filled the bowl of cereal up and I put milk in it and I ate it while I was doing things, but I didn't, like, you asked me questions about the cereal. I didn't experience eating the bowl of cereal. Or it'd be like, what was on the TV? Was what was on the screen a part of your experience? It's like, well, my eyes work. I was looking at the TV. Yeah, but what was on the screen, was that a part of your experience? And they're just like, well, I guess I don't really remember exactly what was going on because I was thinking about the family part. So it's like, okay,
Dang.
so you're eating a bowl of cereal, which you did not experience. You were watching the television show, which your eyes were looking at, and clearly your optical, components work,
Right.
but it wasn't a part of your experience. And this is a very, very fascinating part, and always has been to me. If I tell you to think about something, think of a banana, think of an elephant, it's screeching, think of all these things. You can see them in your mind. Like you can point, or you can, conjure the picture in your mind. The thing is, when something is so strong in your mind, that is actually what you're seeing with your mind's eye. That's
Right.
actually what you're seeing. And you're not
I can
actually
actually see
you
it.
can see it.
And I can see it, and I can also tie it to like a memory right away. Like the last time I saw an elephant, heard an elephant, the last banana I saw, what was I doing? Where was I at? What was going on around me?
And the thing is, if you do that, if you focus on that enough, you won't be interacting with what is exactly in front of you.
Right.
The same way, because you can only see one fully, right? Like you can have some ratio where it's like, it was like
Blended,
one was the backdrop, one was the foreground.
Okay.
Right. So it's like I was watching the television show and I kind of know like this is what was going on, but I was really in my mind thinking about this thing. Or there was this slight thought going on in the back of my mind, but I was really watching the TV. Like, so I know more so what was going on in the TV. And they just keep asking these questions about what was actually a part of your experience. And people have an extremely hard time actually talking about what was actually taking place during these beeps.
Dang.
Meaning, what you're saying is correct. People are going through life and they're doing things and they're having, and by the way, the people they're doing, and this is what makes it so much more interesting, they're super intelligent. Like these are like college students,
Right.
You know what I mean? And they're psychology majors, neurology, biology minors, like all this sort of stuff. And they can theorize and intellectualize all this stuff. But yet when it comes to thinking, they do not do it internally.
But I wonder
Like they are not the authors of their thoughts.
right.
They are not thinking, okay, I want to think about this thing now, and then words are intentionally coming up as they
It's
think
just
through
happening.
something. Boom, like things pop up and they have thoughts, but they are not authoring
Right.
the thoughts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
So in a sense, you're right when it comes down to the drop down view of like options. Options are coming, options are being chosen, but they're not intentional. They are not consciously driven. So people more or less are just moving through life and not truly experiencing the moment to moment
No.
basis, like fabric of life.
Yeah.
It's just
happening.
It's just happening.
Yeah.
Like things are just rolling out and they're just doing them, but they're not experiencing.
Yeah.
People are having whole conversations with people and they don't actually experience the conversation.
I wonder if this is like something to do with memory too.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if their brain just marks a lot of shit as not important. So as it's coming in, it's just going right out. It's not staying.
I think that too. I think that if you don't know that there is value in something, like you're not looking at it, like it wouldn't matter to you.
You would just write that shit right off.
You would just write it off.
It's crazy.
Which is most people in most moments.
Yeah.
Is writing it off as though it does not matter. It does not stimulate. It doesn't get through to me. Like it doesn't actually compute. Yeah. Really.
That's one of them things that in those states off the shrooms where like I can pick out thoughts and like I can separate the ones that are just popping up and the ones that I have like brought up. Like it's hard to explain it with like.
That's the point.
It's hard to explain it with the straight words, but it's like some thoughts I'm like, oh no, that's just a thought. That's not like my thought.
Right.
It's almost I can just like swat it away. Like no, it's just a random thought. Blah, bling, bling, bling.
Yeah, you just interact with thought differently. Because you'd be like, boom, there was a thought. Be like, is there anything there? Be like, oh, maybe I'll take something from it. Maybe I won't. Okay, let it go. And then if you need to sit down and think about something, you can legitimately sit down and like think it through.
Yeah, man.
You can just, again, sit back and just let these sort of warring ideas kind of just like play off of each other and be like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Oh, but is it really though? Because this is, I don't know, that's not going to really work out. It seems like a good, like immediate thing, but in the long term, that may not really turn out very well. Like, and you can just go through and think these, that's not what's going on in everyone's minds. Like it's not a thing. And so it makes so much sense. And I've met people and now there's just making so much more sense.
Oh yeah. I know you're talking about.
Because I'm talking to people and they can't do it themselves, but in conversation, because they can hear a voice from someone else, they can learn through conversation, which is why therapy, conversation and asking of questions is the cornerstone of therapy. Because they can't ask themselves the questions. Yeah. They need someone else to ask them so they can hear it and be like, that's the whole thing.
And that makes me think about that book, The Subconscious Mind.
Oh, yeah. I wonder, Subliminal. How the subconscious mind, or how the subconscious rules the mind.
I just wonder if we're like, I have a strong connection to my subconscious mind to where like I almost can turn the dials on it too. And it doesn't turn the dials on me. It's like I'm in that process. I'm there while the subconscious mind is working too. And I'm seeing all of it work together. And then conscious me makes a decision.
And then you said, and then conscious you makes a decision. Yeah. Does this feel like at this point, does it feel like this is an effortful process? Or do you feel like it's kind of just like a well-oiled machine that just kind of both?
There's times when it's a process that I'm really hands-on with. Okay. And then there's times when if I know that I don't have time to make, like, I'm at work, I don't have time to really sit there and think a certain process through. I've done the work already to where I can make a decision based off of what I thought through before.
Okay. Which would we just call that intuition?
Yeah. Basically,
yeah. They're just points where you have to. That's what my friend Uzima was telling me. The book Blink from Malcolm Gladwell. I've talked about him before. Yeah. Talking with Strangers was a good book. Outliers is a great book. But there's this other one. They're all like bestsellers. But Blink is kind of about people relying upon their intuition, like doing something enough where, like, there are gonna be times. This is actually kind of what I spoke about with that guy, Charles Magnus, or Magnus Charles, whatever his name is, the chess player, where there are times in the game where hard calculation is just necessary. Like, you can't get away from it. Like, you're going to have to try to calculate the next, like, 6 or 7 moves. But then there are other points in the game, very beginning, sometimes end game, where it's just like muscle memory. Like, it's just intuition and you're just moving the pieces.
But that comes from the hard calculation from before. And that built that in you to know, all right, I can listen to this. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good right now.
That's such a weird thing. You're right. So that is fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, I can break it down to something as easy as like fucking grilling chicken. Like, there was times when I would really take my time and process each and every single step to the point of like I'm staring at the needle on the grill to where it's at a certain point and kind of playing with the knobs to know where to put the knobs at.
You know, the needle, like the thermostat? Like thermometer?
I'll purposely draw out this process to do something that I know I can do in like 15, 20 minutes. So that way, when there's times when I have to do it in 15, 20 minutes, I don't have to think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'll purposely like think things through that I don't necessarily feel like I have to. Yeah. So that way, when I don't have the time to do it, I know I don't have to.
See,
I don't know.
And so I've always been and this also is interesting is sometimes it's just like something that was there and it was just nurtured because from when I was young and again, it takes time for you to be able to look back to be able to see all these small things that you've been interested in like your whole life. And like now it's like, oh, okay, I was looking for this the whole time. Like this, I was on this the whole time, but just in a premature sort of way. And one of them is, since again, per one of our listeners, sometimes people need to know what the connection is between the person that I'm talking to on this pod and what it is. And I don't think we've ever talked about it. You and I became friends because, well, for various reasons, we had mutual friends and stuff like that, and it kind of came together. Maybe would have happened anyway. But as far as like our connection, we had fucking Miss Graham, SAT prep, sophomore year, right?
Yep.
And we were just some nerds. And I don't know why at that time specifically for me, because I felt like you may have been a nerd longer than I was. You know what I'm saying? I think I got onto it a little bit later because I was too busy trying to be cool. Like I was still trying to be a thug. Like I was getting out of my thug stages around that time. I still had some long camo t-shirts and some, I may even had a chain around that time. Like I was still trying to get out of that.
Yeah.
But we would just go up to the front of the class and we would just come with like new brain teasers and puzzles that we had found online.
We would just be in there thinking.
And,
like,
just write them up on the board. And like she liked that and the other students liked it. And we would just have
class was fire.
A brain teaser of the day.
And that was only a semester, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's not a
that should have been
class.
Like a year-long class.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah,
that was a fun class. Shout out to Miss Graham. She was a real one. Always has been, because I had her as a science teacher in like 3rd grade or something back at Weems Elementary, and then I had her again back in high school. So she's always a real one.
We were just thinking, like
we were just trying to think,
just thinking. Just and like, funny, like it's funny to say, but we were literally in there just thinking, like that formula sat up in there.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
Sat up in there for I don't even know how many classes.
That's crazy.
I forget how many classes it was. It might have been even just 1, 2. I don't know.
And that was weird. Like, what was it again? What was that happened?
She was trying to. We were going over how to add up numbers in sequence. And something. I don't even know if it was you or me, but we were like, bro, there's got to be a way that like this can be figured out without having to go 1 + 2 + 3 + 4 + 5. Just started working on. There's got to be a formula. Figured out that there really is a formula: x² + x, all that divided by 2. So if you're counting up to 6, you do 6 × 7, divide that by 2. Now you just added up all the numbers 1 through 6. She showed her that, and she was like, "Oh, wait a minute." Took that joint to like the teachers' lounge. Showed all the math teachers. And was like, "Hey, yo, these niggas just made a formula. Like, what is going on in here?" That was crazy.
That's pretty dope. That's dope as fuck. Took it to the teachers' lounge.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. And then later on in life, I got put on to a non-fictional character, Sherlock Holmes.
Okay.
And immediately when I came across this character, it was a guy that not only was just intelligent, but he was intelligent for certain reasons. One, I'm certain there was just some, predisposition he had, whatever, his brain was big. I don't know. But his attention to detail was immense.
And the way they would like,
he can see, he just sees everything. He pays attention to everything. So when people would always say like, "How did you see that, Sherlock?" He'd be like, "You see it. You just don't observe." You can see it. Your eyes work.
Can see it.
You just don't observe. Yeah. And so he would solve all these crimes. If you ever watched any of the movies, any of the Robert Downey Jr. movies, or Benedict Cumberbatch on BBC. Like, I love all of the Sherlock Holmes, most of them. And then the books are awesome too. So I like read all of the original Sherlock Holmes, every single book that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote a long time ago. And I was just like enthralled with this guy that just paid attention and could see things that other people couldn't see. And for some reason that resonated with me. And I was like, wow, why do I feel like that has to be real? Like it's maybe there's not a Sherlock, but that idea just opens up a spectrum already.
Yeah.
And so there are already people that can observe more than other people. So therefore that means that I'm able to slide amongst the scale. I don't have to be Sherlock, but the idea opens up a spectrum of people that have levels or degrees of observation in this world.
Right.
And I can probably find ways of getting better at doing that. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I found myself in life trying to do things since I'd already made the decision in my mind that I wanted to be closer to that. Found myself making decisions to get closer to being someone that observed things more than other people.
That's fire.
And so that's a whole lot of what this is. And then I get to a point where I come across this guy, Russ Herbert, and I've now watched 17 hours of his work.
Oh, yeah.
I have watched a whole clinical trial of a woman named Lena, about an hour each, just going through her figuring out that one, she has no inner monologue.
Man.
When she thought that she did, which is the most interesting thing. People think that because they have so much going on in their mind and they can't shut off all these voices going on and all this information constantly running, they assume that they have an inner monologue and like that they are clearly the authors of their thoughts.
Man.
And that's just not the case.
That's wild. I can catch myself getting into that mode, and then like the voice is like, slow down. Like, what are we doing here?
What do you mean exactly when you say that?
If I start to feel like I have a lot of tasks in front of me to do, and I'm not really thinking them through. Not like how I was saying earlier, breaking them all down, but I'm just doing shit. I can tell when I'm just doing shit because shit is not going the way that it's supposed to be going. I'll just start dropping little shit, drop something, or I'll knock something over. I'm like, wait, I'm not being mindful right now.
Yeah, right.
Like I'm not. These actions aren't calculated. I'm not. So I'm just like,
Okay, yeah.
Why am I not paying attention to what I'm doing right now?
Right. And it's just an immediate indicator of slow down.
Yeah.
Just slow your ass down. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's a good way of looking at it.
It's almost like the driver of the mind just had the joint in cruise control.
Yeah.
But didn't have the hands on the wheel.
And driving is probably the best way of looking at it, because most people can understand the feeling of driving a car and getting to your destination and not remembering the trip. Like, wait a second. Like, I just drove the last 20 minutes. Like, where did that drive go? Like, and that's the whole point of everything I'm talking about is you're driving a fucking car on the road. A machine on the road.
Heavy machine.
Going anywhere from 25 to 80 miles per hour.
And you just didn't.
And you're not even there driving the car. You're on autopilot because but I understand because your brain has allowed. So maybe you're thinking, because I can skillfully do this thing, I'm going to use my brain to do other things to try to like figure something else out. I think that's a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, I'm out today on my way home on the Fairfax Parkway. This is a road where this shouldn't even be happening on this road. Now that I think about it, when I drove past, I kind of laughed, but I felt bad because I was like, bro, that shouldn't happen here. It's like it's just like it's just like the Parkway right here, the bypass.
Yeah.
Why was there a car? A little SUV, like a little Toyota RAV, whatever, upside down. There was no other vehicles involved. It was upside down on the side of the road. And it wasn't even like it was like smashed up, like it had flipped. It was just
upside down. Just like, a car upside down.
Like if a big hand just picked it up and just placed it upside down.
Place it upside down gently.
Yeah. And I was looking at it like, bro, like.
And that's why it's easier to laugh at that because it's like, it doesn't look like anyone really got hurt. It's just like, what is this?
Because like, you know how sometimes the guardrail will like start low and go up? It looked like somebody had just drove up that and just flipped their shit, not paying attention. I drove past that like, bruh.
And so again, this is one of those.
Hey, I hope nobody got up out of here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that'd be terrible. But my thing is, with this knowledge, to me comes wisdom and empathy and compassion, because I realize that people have a very hard time describing their experience with words.
Yeah.
They again can't describe things they weren't there for. A lot of them don't have an inner monologue to work things through, so they're just going to be in a tight spot when it comes to most things because they haven't had enough conversation to be able to like externalize thoughts and have things bounce back to them and have to really wrestle with ideas that way. Because as soon as a thought comes to the mind, again, as I said to you before, the first thought to the mind wins for a lot of people. So as soon as it gets there, bing, that's the thought and that's it. There is no struggle. There's no adversary.
Like that lady, who ran over the niggas in front of Walmart.
Oh, right. Because she
some texting,
quote unquote, caught her man cheating on her on the phone and tried to hit him and ended up hitting a bunch of other people. Right. Sometimes you see someone. Like, I've seen people make a decision. I've seen, like, a thing happen, like the catalyst, and then someone make a decision, and I'm like, whoa, you made that decision too fast.
Yeah, like, I've done it,
and I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. Nah, you made that decision way too, there was no buffering time.
No, there was no loading, there was no, like,
you just acted straight off of impulse. And your intuition or instinct ain't sharp enough to just make that decision. Because now we're cleaning up after you for making that decision. And so when you see people make decisions so impulsively like that, you think they didn't have another choice. Mm-hmm. And that's a weird discussion. And I had that discussion with Blaze here when she was on the podcast and she was like, I feel like that kind of thinking kind of takes away the autonomy of people. And this is why this is a struggle to have this conversation with people, because you may not want to hear this about yourself.
True.
And that's a rough one. You may not want to hear this about yourself, that you're on autopilot a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And that you're just making decisions and you don't have enough time. You don't have the emotional regulation and the refined thought process to be able to like sit and like listen and let something process through and then make a level-headed decision about something. You don't have that time. Yeah. Something happens and you just say something immediately or you just do something immediately.
Do it. Man, but I can't even hate, because I mean there was times I was like that.
It's not. That's where the compassion comes in.
Yeah,
it's
like I understand.
I understand
what's not happening there.
Yeah,
like I get it.
Like I can't be mad at you. I see that. And
it's like,
I always try to open up these things to, because you'll understand it if you think about like children. Yep. Or you think about people with cognitive impairments, right? Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A little slow. You see what I'm saying? But like, because the thing is, people are very easy to be compassionate towards someone that's on quote unquote the spectrum.
Yep.
You on that spectrum too.
Yeah,
and that's the part where people try to like take themselves away. It's like, oh well, listen, they're on the spectrum. We can't, like, you have to be compassionate. You have to be, but it's like someone that you don't see to be on quote unquote the spectrum. You don't give them that same leeway.
No,
but we're all on a spectrum.
We're all somewhere.
And so when someone makes a sort of decision, you're just like, oh no, you should have, and you just get up in arms about it.
You're doing the same,
but you're doing the same thing. They could have very well just not had that option, but you just assume that they should have because they're above the age 25 or something. Yeah, like for some reason, once someone gets to a certain age, like you just look at them as something that ought to be infallible.
Nah.
And just wise, but that's not the world that we live in.
No, everybody's just an older ass.
They're an older, exactly. Yeah. They're just an older baby. Child.
Yeah, just the old. Yeah,
they're an older child.
Yeah,
they're a 40-year-old child, a 50-year-old child.
Yeah,
that's all that's happening here.
That's exactly what's happening.
It's very fascinating. So with this completely sensationalized videos that I've been watching, going back to the sensationalism of things, it's just these people on like either Either it's before or after the quarantine. So you can catch some where they're in a room doing it. Some are through like Skype or Zoom. But I could see why people would not be interested in it, especially in this day and age. Because there's no
from raw data.
It's raw data. Yeah. There's no clickbait thumbnail.
Yeah.
There's no aha moment like, see, you don't have inner monologue. Oh my God, I don't have it. Like there's
but they don't even really know what that means. Because they don't have.
Well, I mean, they kind of like walk through it and kind of, you can see it's a long progression and it's a long game. Mm-hmm. It's a long, steady realization of not having inner monologue or knowing that you're not really an experiencer of life. Because to be honest with you, the inner monologue thing, like it is interesting to think about. And there's certainly people that don't have it and things can be very difficult for them. But then on the other side of the spectrum, things can be difficult for people with inner monologue because that voice untamed can get in the way. Mm-hmm. There are people that read, and if you don't have inner monologue, you might read that book much faster than the person that has inner monologue and is one, as they're reading the words, they're like saying the words over top of the words, which is kind of like jumbling up and is causing like a traffic jam as they're trying to read because they're hearing their voice say the word as they read the word. And then not only that, but then a bunch of thoughts come up and then they start overthinking like what's going on in the book. And then you have to go back up to the top of the page because you've just been thinking the whole time you've been reading. And so that's what happens when your brain is untamed.
Right.
With someone with inner monologue. Now, this is sort of like an ignorance is bliss type of deal because someone was asking me, do you feel like people without inner monologue may be happier? Because they don't have to deal with the rigmarole of like going through a bunch of ideas in their mind and like sometimes trying to decipher a bunch of ideas and sift through a bunch of thoughts can be painstaking. It can be an arduous task to do, which may cause a bunch of stress and undue suffering for thoughtful people. Yeah. So that's the ignorance is bliss discussion. My thing with that is I could see it either way. I could see you being very thoughtful person and not having not taming your thoughts, so therefore not having mindfulness, and then therefore you're just someone that has constant thoughts, complex ideas running through their mind, calculations all day long, and it takes a fucking toll on you. I can see that. I could see you being that person with inner monologue that's really thoughtful in taming your mind. And just being peaceful and just being able to just interact with the thoughts the way you want to.
That's how it happens.
I could also see you being on the other end of the spectrum with no inner monologue, not being a very thoughtful person, and not having to deal with the excavation of a bunch of ideas and trying to figure out what is life and how you fit inside of all of it. And so you don't have to deal with that flavor of suffering, if that's even what you want to call it. Yeah. But then the type of suffering that you deal with is, so now you don't think about those things, which is great because you don't have the burden of those thoughts. But now you also go through life and your life sucks in a bunch of ways because there are a bunch of things happening to you in the external world and you can't fix them because you don't have the tools that it takes to think through the solutions.
Yep.
So I could see,
or you purposely run from the thinking.
Right, exactly. So again, spectrum. Yeah. Spectrum of all this sort of stuff. So ultimately, I think it pays to be a mindful person. Yeah. No matter if you have the inner dialogue or not going on.
Yeah, I think eventually you're going to learn to tame your mind if you're a mindful person. Like, if you have that type of thought process, you're going to get there. Right. You're going to learn how to really tame that mind through a lot of different avenues.
Yeah. Again, it's a ton of stuff. We started with the psychedelics. For me, meditate. It's just meditation is just. It's just.
I've been meditating at work a little bit. Not even a little bit.
What do you do, and what does it look like? And by the way, before I let you finish that question, or finish that answer, I've been inspired by those descriptive experience sampling because something very, very interesting is happening on those, which is people, like a couple people are asking people questions, really trying to figure out about their human experience. And it may be frustrating for them at certain points, trying to put into words what they experience on a day-to-day basis, because no one ever asked them questions about their experience. But it shows you that no one ever fucking asked questions about people's experience. Yeah. Like, we just have this weird way of talking to one another where, like, people say words and then I say words that, like, hopefully are appropriate to the words that you just said.
They kind of relate to what
you said. But sometimes people say things that are completely unrelated and they're not really. It's just like words going back and forth and people are just saying things just to respond. But people very rarely ask you, tell me exactly what you mean by that. Because, and there is a time constraint, which I also understand, which a lot of times you just not going to have the time to be really trying to get down to, like, what do you really mean when you say these words? Because maybe we're using that one word in two different ways.
That happens a lot.
And so therefore I'm thinking one thing and you're thinking another.
Like two different conversations happen.
And we're having two different conversations. So, like, I need to know, like, what that word means to you. So then we can get on the same page about that word and then we can continue the conversation. And so I wanted to bring that back here in some way. And in a lot of ways, I'm going to be honest with you. When people talk, a lot of the time what they say doesn't actually make sense to me. And so what I'll do a lot of the time, depending upon what it is and what the time is looking like and maybe what the content is and how deep or how emotionally, like, heavy it may be, sometimes I'll back away. Sometimes I'll ask like a pseudo deep question to try to, like, unearth something that they're talking about. Or sometimes I just won't, and I'll just laugh it off and just, like, let it go. Because maybe just the flow of the conversation is more important than really getting into that one thing. But I definitely want to ask people more questions about what it is they're actually talking about when they're speaking, and trying to get more into, like, what their experience is like, because people's experiences are very, very interesting. They're very unique, and we don't give enough time to try to get into them. And so
that's kind of what happens to me when I talk to people, because I like to really get into what the hell they're talking about. I'll get caught up trying to have a 45-minute conversation with somebody who was just trying to talk for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But were these people, were they getting better? Like, were they noticing and then trying to get, I don't know, or is it just something that just didn't exist?
One, I think it takes constant work. Yeah. Because you're getting something that is an hour long, 14 sessions, weekly. But I think in order for something like that to be strengthened, it needs to be like a culture. Like, you have to be around people, because once they get off from there, no one again is asking them these questions.
Oh yeah, it's just like in and out.
It's just you're in and out. And so you sometimes
right. It is a thing that you get to practice.
Yeah, because no one's asking you those questions, because we hyper intellectualize things. So again, someone will ask you, okay, so what happened when you saw this picture of this person online? You'd be like, oh, well, I got kind of angry when I saw it, and I said, holy shit, like, this person is stupid. And I'd be like, okay, well, when you said those words, did you say them aloud or did you say them in your head? And they'd be like, oh, well, I said it in my head. And they'd be like, okay, so you said it in your head. Was it in your voice? Be like, I don't know if it was in my voice. It was like, did the words come up in sequence? Like, holy shit, this person is stupid. Or did it all come at the same time? Like, was it like a sentence on a page, or like words being dropped on a page? And they'd be like, well, it's kind of just like one thing that came at once. And they're like, okay. So was it actually the words that you understood all at once, or was it a feeling that overcame you and you put words on top of it? And they're like, okay, well, I guess it was more so like that then. So again, they're not necessarily being the author of these words, like mindfully putting the words together. I want to say to myself for some reason, holy shit, this person's stupid. It's just like boom, like an idea just popped in. And so they thought that they authored those words.
Right.
And it's very, very, fascinating to think about these things, but I think it takes a ton of work to like keep going through this time and time again and be able to understand that maybe you're not only a person that is not someone with inner monologue / dialogue, but you're just not really an experiencer. Yeah. Like I've yet to just hear someone say like, so what was that experience like? Because to be honest, if they did with me, I think it would be a much simpler thing. Like if they asked me, like, what were you experiencing this moment? It would be something very simple. Like, well, I could feel the extremely smashed cushion underneath my ass that really just leads to hard wood. I felt the cold in the air.
Right.
I could sense myself speaking. I could feel the words coming out of my mouth, my lips coming together, my tongue on my teeth. I could hear myself coming back to myself through the headphones. Like that type of experience, but like telling you exactly.
How early of a memory do you have? Like how far back can you remember? Do you think?
Probably not further back than, and even these are really, really vague.
Yeah.
Maybe 4.
Yeah.
Something like that, like a year or so before kindergarten. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I mean, I don't know this for a fact, but I don't know if people can remember back even that far.
Yeah, I definitely.
I can remember when I remember memories from when I was like 3 and like 2 years old, like place where I was, what was going on, what I thought what was happening, and I got older and I realized what was really happening. And I think it has something to do with memory too. I don't know, like a computer with like a bigger hard drive,
right?
And maybe that's what it is too.
No, there's definitely people always, go back and forth between nature and nurture as we're concerned, like how we come up in this world. And, you're just going to bounce back and forth. I'm certain there's these huge components in both of those, and some of those override some of those in certain aspects and whatever.
Like, and when you remember stuff, you can vividly see it. You can hear it. Like all your senses of a memory come back like that, right? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes if I need to remember where something is, like I'll just, you sort of look up.
Exactly. Just like, and I'm like, oh, I had it over here because I was doing this. And but like, there's people that can't even see memory. Like they don't visually. Right. They can't visualize things. Right. So I'm like, maybe the brain doesn't have enough room to pack those memories in with them, or the people who don't remember faces. There's people that don't remember faces. Damn, like I think it has something strong to do with memory on top of mindfulness. And when you can if you have a great memory and you practice mindfulness, I think that's where you get that.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, memory is a huge. Yeah, that's very, very true. You know what? That's very, very true. You know what I mean? Because I'm thinking about it the way that I used to talk about like matching games. Like you spread out like 25 cards and you flip a card over. It's like, oh, it's got an apple. And you flip another one, it's got a truck. Okay, didn't get that match. You put it back over. And then you keep flipping them. You're just like, oh, you get an apple over here. Maybe like 3 turns later, it's like, oh, I remember where that apple was. And you put it here. Some people are very terrible at that game. Some people are better at that game. Spatial, spatial reasoning and all that sort of stuff goes into it. Some people have just like these photographic memory, like you can see where it was before. Like it just comes back that easily. And I think that is so fundamental to getting better in life. You're right. Because if I do something today and it doesn't go right.
Like you say, if I go to the store and I get my ass whooped,
Right? Yeah, like that's it.
I can't keep going back to that store. I have to remember that they're gonna kick my ass over there, bro.
So, and that's it. Maybe so. Sometimes it has to be something as traumatic as getting your ass whooped. But if something goes wrong with me today, tomorrow I'm gonna try to make sure that doesn't happen. So I have to remember what I did that didn't go right, that wasn't conducive to living well, right? So, and that goes into so much. It goes into hypocrisy.
Yeah.
It goes back into the fucking pilgrims coming over here in Christopher Columbus and them trying to escape England and then fucking over the indigenous people in the same way. You can't see that you doing the same shit that you just ran away from, or you don't give a fuck enough about it because now you top dog over here. I don't know which one it is, but
it's like when you used to get the frying in groups, and then somebody fry you, and then somebody else laughs. You be like, "Oh, what you laughing at?" So you gotta flip them. You gotta flip the table. You gotta get your dub.
And so I've seen people make decisions, and then what seems like to me the same situation come up later on,
right?
But they can't detect the same qualitative components that are in both of those things. Then they're like, it's a different day, it's a different place, in a different time with maybe a different person. So they can't draw the parallels. They're like, well, it's a different place, a different time. How was I supposed to know? And the answer is, well, fuck, you're right. How were you supposed to know? Because you can't see to me, the very obvious parallels between that thing and this thing. But they match. They just look like different.
Like, you know how when we break down like situations to just bare bones, take away the name. Okay, you did this and this happened. The same thing keeps happening, and then that happens because you did. It's just the same line,
but it all comes back. But if you can't think it through internally, then how are you supposed to get any better?
Nope.
If you don't have someone around you, and this is where it gets to a point of all of us failing each other.
Oh,
because if you realize that people internally cannot churn through ideas in this sort of way that we're talking, this high level way that we're talking about, which most people can't. And there are studies that I don't want to say prove that, because that's not, but that suggest that heavily suggest that.
Yeah.
Then it has to come from an external source, meaning it has to come from other people.
Right.
The issue is that once you gain knowledge and wisdom, a lot of times you just start being quiet.
Yeah, because
you'll now. I think that a lot of the conversation I've had on this podcast boils down to all of this stuff. Like it's all interconnected. It's one big gumbo, one big cocktail, because I don't want to give unsolicited advice, which I've talked about on here. I don't want to just walk up to people and just start telling people. That ain't happening for me no more. But question asking is different, which again is the cornerstone of therapy.
Because you can kind of get
you just ask the question. I don't need you to change nothing right now, but if I ask you some questions which nobody asked before and you haven't been able to ask yourself, you're gonna leave our exchange and you're gonna walk off and you're gonna be like,
That is an effective strategy a lot of the times.
It's the only strategy
to like conflict resolution, even just things like when you want to get somebody to just understand a certain idea or a way about doing something.
It's the only thing.
Yeah.
Like you just you got to live in your truth, do your thing. The minute you try to start like prying things open and pushing people towards things, forcing things, it's not going. People gonna clam up. They're gonna be like, "No, what you trying to do? Like, why are you trying to manipulate me?" Like, it's weird. Question asking.
Yeah, it's something.
Question asking with genuine, open, and honest curiosity.
But that's because you're like me in the sense that you want to know what that brain is thinking.
Right.
So you're trying to get to the reasoning behind why they came to that decision making in the first place. So you're like, so when that person like cut you off, like what was it? Did it remind you of something from the past, or like what did you think was going to happen like afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, cutting people off, that's a very interesting one too, because I think a lot of people don't like the idea of being behind, being left behind, being taken advantage of. And it's like, if that person cut me off and they got ahead, like they're in a place that they don't quite deserve to be. Like they got there with ill intent. They got there by cheating, by like a shortcut. It wasn't fair.
And I mean, I rarely get cut off because like I always see it coming.
Right.
I'm always like, it's something about driving, bro. I see these people. I see the moves before they even know they're gonna do it. Like I know how these people are gonna drive before they even like. I'm rarely surprised on the road,
right? And
I think that just comes from inner monologue, just being mindful.
Yeah, and driving is the best metaphor for life, always. Yeah. So just like you probably aren't too, surprised by people just walking around in everyday life either. Mm-hmm. So you said I'm very rarely cut off because I see them. So clearly you probably create space. You allow it to happen. Like you are in some way a conductor.
Yeah.
You see people doing things in life. You know how it's going to go. And you allow things to happen.
1,000%. Like,
right.
Yeah.
And someone was telling me the other day, and this is something a lot of people don't want to do because a lot of people are about the fight. Whatever the fight is that they're fighting, they're about the fight.
Yep.
Whatever that fight is for them.
Especially now.
Whatever that fight is.
Out here fighting.
And so, I was telling someone, I think it was about the boss thing, the boss pissing them off and, and they're going through all this fucking anxiety about it. And I'm like, you have to overcome your thoughts about this. And they were like, no, see, Earl, you, and this, I'm paraphrasing, but they were saying, you're kind of talking about rolling over. Like allowing.
It sounds like that.
It does. And I get it, right? Yeah. Like you completely, like
when you take away the thought process.
That is a valid, retort.
Right.
Like that is rolling over. You're allowing them to get their way. JP was saying that on the last episode, like, oh, so now you're going to allow someone to come in and just cut on the lights in the sauna or, play music or whatever. Like you're allowing people to disturb your peace.
Right.
And again, like I said, that is valid. Mm-hmm. I think we can get further into that conversation.
I was getting ready to say, because like, I think also for you probably decide to think, okay, well, why does that bother me that somebody turns on the lights? Why does that even bother me in the first place? I don't know. Like, it's just lights. Like, okay, lights are on now. Let's do the sauna with the lights on now.
Now we have the sauna with the lights on.
That's like, bro, for me, like another little example, I've been to Subway like times, and if they get my sandwich wrong right in front of me, like I'm the type to just be like, okay, I guess I'm gonna try that today. It's not because like I'm just like gonna let them just give me whatever I want. It's just I'm just not gonna fight the idea of, man, throw all that bullshit away, start my sandwich over right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to create a little minuscule conflict with somebody making my food right in front of me.
Yeah, like it's not something that I'm allergic to.
Yeah, I can fix this problem. If I really don't like the olives, I can just take them off.
Right.
I can just open the sandwich and take them off.
And that's the thing, but people would say, no, it's their job to get the shit right. They need to get my sandwich right. And it's like, whoa, hey, okay. Like, and what you're saying isn't wrong. It is their job.
I think it's the way I look at people, too. That's just a robot to make my fucking sandwich. Get it right.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm just like, nah, that's just a dude at work, bro. Just a dude. He's not doing it on purpose.
He could be thinking about some other things, which he probably is. He put the wrong thing on the sandwich. But again,
who knows? This might happen for me to start liking olives now.
Yeah, maybe I'll like this sandwich.
Yeah. Maybe I've been eating the same sandwich for too long. Like, I was thinking about it that way. Like, oh, maybe I was supposed to try something new. Like,
that happened to me yesterday. Cold Stone. I always get what people think is the nastiest thing in the world. It's like mint banana with Reese's peanut butter cups and gummy bears in it. Right. It doesn't make any sense, I know, but I love it. And they didn't have that on the menu yesterday. Like, they didn't have what I wanted. Or no, they did have that. I was looking for a sorbet.
Oh, yesterday too?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know you were like, okay.
Yeah, but I was just like, oh, they have lemon sorbet. Like, they don't have the raspberry or the other ones that they usually have. Okay, I guess I'm getting lemon today, and I'm just gonna throw some gummy bears in that one. Like, that's just what I don't care. I don't care.
I'm not about to eat this ice cream and fucking choke and die because it was.
it just doesn't matter.
This is why when I had that, everything just is.
It just is.
It just is.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's just hard to get there.
It's hard.
To get to that place.
Because it is really hard to get to that place because shit, niggas is 30 and just fully stepping into it. So it's also hard to kind of get people to get there too.
Right.
We're just not getting here. So
yeah.
So for sure. At the same time, that's why I don't walk around like preaching it all day like I used to.
No. Yeah. There's a point where preaching is just natural. Yeah. Like, there's a point where it's going to happen. Like, you stumble across something that is awesome, and you want to show other people that it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's just you learn in time that's just not the way it's going to be.
You can't. I think I've said it before, but you can't teach understanding. Like, I can't get somebody to understand something. I can only tell them my experience.
Right.
And hopefully, by me telling them where I'm at, they'll kind of be like, well, I want to start making small decisions to see if I can get there too. Right.
Yeah.
Like, how is it that none of this shit bothers him? Like, how? Like, dudes at work will be like, you just have a good ass attitude. It's not like I'm walking around all like, hey,
right,
happy day. Like, I'm not. No, this is a good attitude. I'm not in there complaining about anything. Now, I might talk shit about like what's fucked up here, but I'm doing that in a good attitude. At the same time,
you're making like playful, maybe facetious, but also direct observations about things.
I was like, babe, at the end of the day, man, I'm going home.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go home tonight, and I'll see this place tomorrow. Cause where I'm at right now, everybody, they do not like it. I don't. It's funny because like
they do not like it.
I'm just telling them like, man, this is easy. We're on an easy project, but.
That's rough.
Yeah. It's fun though.
They just no. What I'm saying is like, like them not seeing it. I've also we can get to the invisible life of Addie LaRue, but some of my most interesting and like compelling thoughts about being an eternal being has mostly been one, like, you're going to continue to change and over time you probably know, who knows how many languages, like your just scope of the world is going to change in a way you would never be able to understand, but you're also going to have to watch people die. And you're going to have to watch your loved ones die. You're going to have to have love, lose love. Yep. Like, you're going to, like, this cycle is going to have to happen.
But honestly, where I'm at now, I think we would fuck with being an eternal being.
I would.
I was getting ready to say, bro. I would be fine.
I'm with it.
Exactly, bro. I'll be fine.
Totally fine.
I'll be fine, bro. I mean, as long as I'm not just floating in space when the Earth is gone. That might get a little stupid.
Maybe, but maybe not.
Maybe not.
Because, because I was thinking about boredom the other day, and this is something that Sil and I had spoken about. I think the first time I had spoken about it on here is, someone said to me the other day, it was actually the guy that told me about ayahuasca. He was like, oh, I was putting in like tips, so you just filing in tips on like an Excel spreadsheet for our servers and server assistants and stuff like that.
Okay.
And he was like, oh, this must be the most boring part of your job. And I was like,
You don't even want to know.
But he had just got done like the day before telling me about, we were talking about ayahuasca and yoga and meditation and all these things. So I felt more uncomfortable having this conversation with him.
Yeah.
And I was like, blank, not gonna say his name, but I don't experience that word anymore.
No.
Like I don't. Boredom.
Yeah.
Like it's such a fucking mind-blowing experience even thinking about evolution and the fact that there was a point in time in which the word boredom not only made sense in an abstract sense, right, like as an idea, a term with a definition, and you would be like, I feel bored. I feel understimulated. I feel like tired of this. I feel antsy. I feel like I want it. Like I'm not excited about whatever's in front of me. Right. I'm not because going to the definition, I am not welcome of what is presenting itself to me, because that's what it is. It is, tiredness of repetition, tedious repetition, and loathsomeness of unwelcome presentation, pretty much.
Right.
And so just like you talked about me being in the sauna, like, why does the lights being cut on like bother me so much? It's the same thing. You look at whatever's going on in front of you and you think, why am I unwelcoming of this presence, of whatever is presenting itself? Why am I unwelcoming of it? Why am I not welcomed of it? My little sister talked about this a long time ago. We were at dinner and she was like, yeah, I'm just not like a person that likes a lot of things in this world. Like, I just don't like a lot of things. And I think that that's completely okay to not like a bunch of things. And I thought, you can not like whatever you don't want to like. That's fine. I don't care about that. Do you think that it might be advantageous to try to find ways of liking those things? Because as far as I'm concerned, that kind of amounts to your quality of life. And if you're exposed to 10 things in life, clearly that's no one's life, but if you're exposed to 10 things in life and you dislike 8 of them, your life sucks. Right? Like your life
if you only
sucks.
Like 20% of things.
Like, right? And like you have to engage with all 10 of these things. It's not like you can only do these two things. You have to engage with most of these things.
Okay.
Wouldn't it make sense to, if you could, try to find some sort of portal, some sort of key, some way to engaging with those other 8 things in a way that may open yourself to enjoying them a bit more? Because if you did, then your quality of life would just augment exponentially in that way. And life isn't 10 things. It's it's an innumerable amount of things that you can engage with.
Yeah.
And at every single point in time, something is there.
All the time.
And so the guy was saying, yeah, you got to do this thing like every day, like you come here and you do this thing every day. And I'm like, it's another way you're framing it. I am not the same person I was yesterday. So I see what you mean by like I come here, but it's like a different version of I, first of all.
It's a different day.
It's a different day with a completely different mix of factors in the entire universe, let alone this place, right? And then the thing in itself, the who I'm interacting with, like all of those are different if you can observe.
Yes.
If you're just looking at it and you just see it with your eye, that may be different.
Yeah.
Then it's the same thing. If you're observing what life is on a day-to-day basis, it's always different.
Oh, yeah.
So in that way, life is new every day. That's a perspective. It sounds nice coming out of my mouth.
Yeah. I like to think of it
clearly probably makes no sense to a ton of people, or at least you don't feel it.
This might be a whole big broad idea, but I look at it as every single moment is just like you're experiencing a memory. Because like everything we just talked about is just a memory now.
Yes.
So it's like, damn, I'm here. It's mindfulness, just in different words.
Yeah, it's mindfulness. Yeah, it's mindfulness heightened.
It's hard to be bored if you're just mindful.
It's very hard because
not thinking about something.
Right.
You're just not.
You're not engaged.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Exactly, and I found that I think there was a study on it too that people with like ADHD, like they might get like sleepy at random times, not because they're tired, just because their mind is bored. They're not thinking, they're not engaging. So you're trying to go see what's going on in the brain. So there'll be times like when I'm in class, and like the teacher might be talking like the most boringest teacher. Like he's just very monotonous, just talking. I'll catch myself to like starting to get sleepy, and I know what's going on. I'm like, oh, I'm not engaging right now with what's going on. So then I just start getting super mindful. What's around me? What are these people wearing? What's he really talking about? Let me read I can snap out of it real quick because I know what's going on. I'm mindful of what's happening.
Yeah. You get to be the observer. Yeah.
I go into that observer mode.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's observer mode. I think that has.
So I know, like when you're doing like a task like that, I'm sure you find all kind of ways to just.
I'm just doing the thing.
Yeah.
That's all. I'm just doing the thing.
That's it.
I'm just trying to do the thing as best as I can do it.
Right.
And that's what I want to bring back to this. I'm just trying to do this thing for as long as this thing is recording, trying to do the best at this thing as I can possibly do. And then when I get done with this, I might read for a second. When I read, I'm just going to be reading the book.
Right.
Like that's all I'm going to be doing.
Right.
That's all I'm going to be focused on is the book. And then I'm going to close the book. And then when I'm closing the book, I'm going to be doing it. But everything, brushing my teeth is like that. Washing my face is like that. So it doesn't matter how, like the thing doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be like a big thing. And so that's where I don't think, well, all this came from maybe being an eternal being and floating in space once the earth implodes or explodes,
then
whatever.
I'm just going to be floating.
But I feel like as long as I have my mind, there's nothing you can do with me.
I was getting ready
There's
to
no
say,
way you can put me because as long as I can just close my eyes or just look around, like I'll never be bored.
I was going to say, I know. I was going to ask you, like, if for some reason you had to go to solitary confinement, I feel like you'd be fine.
Yeah, I'm just.
But at the same time, I like if they left you there for like 20 years. I don't think you would come back. You wouldn't come back the same to them. You would definitely look like you up out of here.
Yeah,
but you'd be fine.
Yeah.
I think I'd be the same way. I'd be fine. Oh yeah, throw me in there. I'll keep myself busy.
Yeah, like I'll just be in, and I'm certain I'll come out, and it may be very different. Now I know they say that things change for you in there, but I wonder
it's because they're keeping their brain adjusts into keeping themselves busy,
right?
And they get locked into that mode, and then
Yeah. See, I have no idea what that's like because they say that. Because don't they call it like the bing?
Yeah, the bing.
Because there's a point where your brain sort of bings.
Yeah,
like it just like things sort of snap and things are not quite the same, anymore. And I don't know if a lot of that is geared towards the lack of inner monologue and they're lacking the external right dialogue, so therefore they're not working with the things in their brain anymore. So maybe that would be different towards a very high level cognitive functioning intermonologue having mindful human. That might be a different experience for them.
But like Khalif Browder, like when he came out, he said that like all of a sudden he was talking to himself.
That was someone that was he wrongfully accused?
He was wrongfully accused and held in there because of a prior like conviction, and they were trying to force him into like pleading guilty, which would have locked him up even longer, and he just wouldn't. So they kept pushing his case back. So he was basically on trial, kept getting beat up while he was in jail. So they just put him in solitary confinement, and he was there for like almost solitary for like 2 years almost, maybe more.
Whoa!
But he was super young too. He was like a minor going through this. And it changed his mind. He just changed him. He said when he got out, he was like talking to himself and like he knew that there was something he thought wrong with him. Maybe he just learned that he was having inner monologue, inner dialogue.
That's interesting.
I mean, it changed him for the worse. He ended up, getting himself up out of here.
Right.
But that's what opened up the whole conversation of like solitary confinement is not good for humans because they didn't have any stimulation.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, so someone was telling me about this show called, was it like Nine Perfect Strangers, Seven Perfect Strangers, something like that on Netflix, starring Nicole Kidman. There's mad famous people in that show.
Okay,
but I believe it's about a group of people that go to like some sort of retreat and they all microdose for like a week, and they're like trying to work out a bunch of issues and trauma and things like that.
Yeah,
and I believe that there's some family members, and they had a family member that had committed suicide.
Yeah.
And they were all sort of blaming each other, like, you weren't there for him, or like, you kind of used to make fun of him about this, blah, blah, blah. So they're pointing fingers. And this person, because I didn't watch the show, but this person was telling me that somewhere in the show, they were sort of tripping together. Mm-hmm. And I suppose that this person's spirit kind of presented itself to them in their minds. Mm-hmm. And the way it was presented was this person came back and was telling them, listen, guys, this has nothing to do with any of you.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to do this anymore, so I left Earth.
Right.
And again, all these things, a lot of what we're talking about today sounds good maybe through the microphones, but it takes a certain type of understanding to really just think, oh, how much of our suffering is just because we don't know how to deal with, like, we're just creating narratives, running with them, pointing fingers and talking shit. But if they could come back and tell us, if they could come back for a few seconds and just talk to us, it'd be like, hey, you guys are really arrogant to think that this has anything to do with any of you.
No.
I made this decision completely extracted, detached from anything going on with you all. Yeah, like you all were great people.
Yeah.
Had a great life. Yeah, you made fun of me a few times. I don't give a shit. Yeah, you weren't there when I needed you. That's fine.
That's not why.
That's not why, though. And for that to be presented amongst a group of people that needed that, and to be able to kind of like have those super corrosive ideas dissolve and then come back in the fold with each other and be like, oh shit, like, yo, my bad, bro. Yeah. I'm so fucking sorry. It's those types of moments where I'm like, damn, could I get my family to try some? Like, because I'm listening to fucking Pride is the Devil by J. Cole, and he's talking about got some aunties and some uncles that's too proud to give apologies. Like, it's like there's so many just these dumb, weird, invisible, make-believe things that just like, if you could just see how stupid they are, they like block you
away
from being loving towards people, right? Or like, oh my gosh, like it's so
break down that ego thinking and just see it, like see that raw data idea.
And specifically speaking for Black and brown people, I think it'd be amazing.
Oh yeah,
I think it'd be amazing because going back as well, because all this stuff just circles and circles and circles, as is life. I was listening to Kendrick some more. That album, I'm still playing it.
Oh yeah.
Mostly classical music, but every once in a while I'll hop back to like that album is really good. I was listening to Mother I Sober, and he was just going through, clearly at the age of 5, like hearing his mom getting his hands put on her, and like being able to, if you and I remembering stuff at 3, 4, like Kendrick remembers this still to this day, and he remembers the sounds and like him like kind of curling up and like feeling like imagine like what do I do? Like, this is my mom, like you love her, you hear hands getting put on her. You're 5. You can't do anything. And so you just have to live with that. He talks about seeing his grandma, like when she passes, like looking at him on the back of buses and stuff like that, like catching glimpses of her out in public and stuff like that. And, going back to slavery and slave masters, raping the women, and then making the men, rape each other and making people watch them and, all that sort of stuff. And, just these generational sort of curses that go down, and you don't know exactly how far the shit goes down, and the weird shit that still goes on in the black community. Like, you don't know how weird this stuff is. He's talking about every other rapper compromised, covering it with chains and tattoos, and like, you see this stuff taking place in front of you. And if you really want to look at it, as Kendrick pushed it towards people's faces, it gets crazy. And again, like I said, I'm into meaning, and I'm into healing, and I'm into evolution. And I don't care to do anything else. That matters to me, and other things just don't. They just don't matter to me. Like, if we're not healing, I don't really know like what we're doing.
Yeah, what's going on?
Like, what are we doing? Like, I feel like we should heal.
Right.
Because everyone's got some healing to do. For whatever reasons, for reasons that they've created or someone else created for them, there's healing to be done. Yeah. And so to just be sitting around like not doing it, I mean, it is what it is, and there are the reasons why that's happening or whatever. But for me, that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do.
Right.
And I'm about to be 32. If we don't get bombed in America, if I don't walk out on the street and someone doesn't shoot me in the head, or if I stay healthy, I got a lot more to go.
It's crazy to think about.
I got a long time to go.
It's crazy to think about. That shit is wild.
Who could we be at 50, at 60? Wild. That's crazy.
It's crazy.
For this amount of years to happen again?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, for it to be where it's at right now, compared to where it was at when we were in high school, that jump, not just us, but like worldwide view, that jump, you multiply that by 2. So that's what, 30 more years? Because 15 high school.
And that's the thing is, you can't even use that basic of an equation, because the multiplying by 2 isn't even. Yeah,
it's exponential.
It's exponential.
Yeah,
like the moment
next year could be so much more.
Right,
a bigger jump than the last 5 years.
Right.
So it's
the momentum is far too great.
Right.
And in some ways, that could be a very bad thing.
Right.
Because in some ways, people have built up so much momentum going in a certain direction, it's going to be very hard to stop certain things that are happening that are actually very destructive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are also certain momentums going away in certain groups of people for certain things and certain ways of thinking that are going to be great.
Yeah.
So it's not like everything is just getting better.
No, it's not.
But it's also not like everything's getting worse.
Yeah.
So it's just...
everything is heading in the direction that it's going.
Yeah. That's the way to talk about it. Everything is just heading in the direction it's going.
Yeah.
So you take with that as what you want.
Exactly.
But that means a lot of different things.
That means a lot of different things.
That means a lot of different things. Like where is sex going?
Right.
Like, where is sexuality headed?
I've told you, I've been seeing it. It's going to be a point where people are going to look at you like, oh, you just straight? Oh,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like you just like,
and people fight that's where humans are headed. But I know that humans 500 years from now are going to look at us like, dang, they were really like fighting over something.
But there's also, you think it'll just keep going that way? Like, because there's only but so far it can go. Right. But before we're all just having sex with all the animals, and there has to be a point where it stops. Right. Like, you can't just, so at some point is what you're saying is just everyone will be involved with everyone. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's some sort of point where, again, the pendulum swings.
Right.
Where it does go to an extreme, but then it's like, oh, okay, maybe let's go back a little bit this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's weird. And then there will be times where civilizations are ended by a comet or some shit like that. And then certain people have to start over. Or maybe we'll all have to start over or whatever the case is. So we'll lose information. Mm-hmm. You're sort of into that stuff, like lost civilizations. Like, we could have lost mad technology, mad knowledge.
Telling you, bro. That's what I think the pyramids were now at this point. I think they were just like a big ass safe haven,
like a law. Why do you think safe haven though?
Because like most of the structures now, if you look, they all have like underground chambers and they're built to withstand. Like they're all still here, standing through whatever happened on the planet. I think something a long time ago built them Jones, and then taught the humans to, hey, go in there at this time. Well, we'll tell you when to go, and hide out, wait it out, and stay safe in here. All over the world, like that show I've been watching, The Ancient Apocalypse. There's so many more like structures that I didn't even know about, and that most people don't know about, that they're finding out, especially with like 3D imaging. They like this underground, basically underground cities. Like people
what was that, like the Brazilian rainforest?
Yep.
Yeah, it was like clearly like
a bunch of shit,
like a civilization there, where like now it's just rainforest. Like you could clearly tell where there was. Yeah, like if you looked at it from an aerial view. Yeah,
you could see that there's whole pyramids in the rainforest, but they're just covered by the vegetation. Yeah, and they can't like get down there and just tear it down just to look at those. So they just have to like use radar and shit. But it just seems like these were structures where people went and like survived for catastrophe. And that just, if you look at like, imagine 20, I don't know, imagine 2,000 people packing inside the pyramids during like a crazy ass snowstorm. Yeah, this kind of makes sense. Yeah, everybody get inside.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know if it was. Yeah, you never know. Yeah, if it was like beings that came and touched Earth and gave wisdom to humans, or if there was just like we were just much more intelligent beings with much more intelligent technology.
And they've also like kind of proven through like testing the different layers of the structures that they've been reinforced multiple times, like every couple of thousands of years. So like it's like they build on top of it again. So it's like something's like, hey, yo, it's almost that time again. Y'all might want to touch up and refurbish that joint a little bit and get y'all asses inside. It's about to go down out here again.
Okay, here's an interesting question. As I was thinking about the peyote cacti, I was thinking about what sort of father I would be. Because as I've gone through these shroom experiences, as I take them, it's not nearly as abrupt as it once was. Right. It seems like I kind of live through that experience on a day-to-day basis, minus the immense muscle relaxation that overtakes my body because I just want to like just lay, just melt away. And clearly come some of the sort of visual stuff and the hunger that comes. Like there's just certain physiological things that are different. But as far as the attention paid to things and the sort of there's definitely also like an amplification of love as well. But but it's not crazy. Like it makes sense when it happens. I'm like, this is roughly how I feel about things. Yeah. And so I feel like it's kind of just an understanding. So when I go back into these sessions, it's like, like this feels like how I live my life. Like this feels like home. Yeah. There's some things that are like kind of funky or weird about it, but like this feels like my regular perspective in life. And I'm thinking, whilst raising a child, if they were introduced to these understandings growing up, not the drugs, but the understandings of like paying attention to other human beings, being mindful, like when they're speaking, wanting to understand them, staying engaged with the earth around you, understanding that the fact that you're here is an incalculable like chance, right? That you're here, that that we cannot take this for granted, right? It's that what you're experiencing is the weirdest thing you should be able to fathom. Like this isn't just
going on. We in this bitch.
We're just conscious beings floating around a planet right now, doing things. This is not This is not just regular. This is not just granted to us. Right?
We are
this is a special thing that's happening
something
here.
has happened.
Especially this day and age, the way we're experiencing it is the most bizarre experience of living that human beings have ever been able to experience.
Right.
Well, in the way that we see it.
In the way that we see it. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And if you were able to just have these sorts of conversations, this last 2 hours and 30 minutes, just if you were having these conversations in a household and your little one grew up hearing these conversations, grew up around this literature, grew up around you all speaking to whatever it is your sort of God is in that very deep way. Maybe you all do shrooms, or you take peyote or whatever the case is, and you see the way in which it's used, not as a drug to just fucking to just veg out. Yeah. Like you're trying to connect with something deeper. Yeah. And you have this understanding of life. That's a different way of raising a human. And that's one of the only things that sort of like gives me pause and thinking, should I raise someone? Right. I don't know about bringing someone new because there are a whole lot of people here and they're like mad babies that I could just like go get like that aren't going to
say like you can just go to the baby store.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't know. Do you, that's a funny thing. You purchase babies, correct? Like you do purchase them. Yeah. Like you do have to pay for them.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
You don't just go and they just give you like a background check and like, yo, you seem good here. Have the baby.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm sure they get some money somehow. They find a way.
Right. Sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how the adoption process goes, but I would imagine you would have to purchase like a baby.
I'd look at it as being a guide. Like you're like a guide.
Right. Which is what all these other people are to these people during the seances, the ceremonies. They are gurus. They are shamans. They are guides. Yeah. And I was just thinking, wow. How is Mikey gonna raise Maven? Right. And I'm just thinking, I don't know the conversations that you have. And by the way, keep in mind that this has been something that has interested me for years. And I've just never asked you this question. Right. Is what sort of conversations you and Danny have? Because I don't know her on a deep level. I don't know what she's into. I don't know what sort of conversations she has. But I'm certain you all are. I mean, you have your similarities. I'm certain you differ in huge ways. Yeah. I wonder what that parenting is going to be like. I wonder what she's going to get from her, what she's going to get from you, what she's going to get from being in the household, and like how this person is going to grow. Really having you as a father, and like I want to know like what types of things, if you're planning to try to set things around, if it's more so just like a natural thing, like you're going to be who you are, and so naturally Maven's going to be looking at you. That's a big thing. I know that I'm always conscious of the cameras are on me. Right. So I'm always conscious of being the guide. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know. The guide is a perfect word for it. Yeah. Like I'm just here to show you. And I think that's the question: is how do you guide? That's the question. By observing my damn self. Right. Like even simple things like when I'm holding her, like I'm looking at what she's looking at. And if she's looking at something, I'll like zoom her up to that thing so that she can like just observe it. Like use your senses. Try to grab it. What is that? What does it feel like? What colors are there? Like starting with little things, so that like we're getting that questioning. So that way, when she can speak, ask questions. Right. Let's think it through. Even if I don't know, let's think, talk. Yeah. Break everything down that you can. Yeah, that's something that, and this is where time goes. I've talked about that fucking movie In Time with Justin Timberlake. I'm really a big fan of that. My dad and I both. Yeah. That's a good movie. It is because time is such a luxury. It's the only one. Just running around. And so reaching out to get that minute. To get that last minute, because you are fortunate to have time. Yes. Because maybe you don't feel like, because again, we've heard you can imagine, I saw a woman on side, oh my God, in DC just screaming at her little child. Just like, get the fuck up. Let's go. I don't got time for this shit. And that's real. I don't got time for this shit, little nigga. Get up. And this was a little boy screaming in a crowd full of people, screaming at a little boy.
What's funny
get the fuck up. And actually wasn't it.
He's just doing what she's doing.
It was get your ass up, you little before I beat your fucking ass out here. In the middle, didn't care, was in a crowd full of people, but felt like she didn't have time.
It's crazy.
You feel like you have time to sit and break things down.
Right.
But when people don't, they're just like, yo, I don't got time to get up. Come on, we gotta go. I don't got time to blank.
See, and I
don't got the time to be blank.
See, and that's like the key difference is like, I see myself as like her, like person, like the one that's gonna guide her instead of her being my daughter. So like, it's not that I don't have the time. My time is now her time. So like,
yeah, that's very true. That's very true. So like, for you to be trying to like dismiss her time, right? That like, she's trying to use to develop in some sort of way to just be like, no, go do this other thing.
Yeah, like
it's weird.
Babies don't have any conception of what time it is,
right?
So she might wake up at 2 a.m, like not really crying, but just like awake, kind of like making noise. And instead of me like getting like upset or anything, because like that'd be like a natural human instinct, I'm awake too, and I'm just like interested now and like, oh, okay, well, what are you trying to figure out? Right. I'll wake right up, like, okay.
Yeah, that is you being responsible.
Right.
That's what this comes down to.
A lot of patience.
It is patience.
I feel bad for people who don't have it.
And this has been my thing with having children. People do that shit on a whim, and you know, there's no thoughts about, because there are no laws really about having children, unless it's just you need to have that, unless it's the abortion laws of you need to have that child, right? But there's no like you can't have it because you're not qualified, because you,
if they was gonna make a law,
because you put zero thought into what a life is and what bringing a life into this world means, it could, and what it could potentially mean for other people, that a lot of those thoughts are not crossing those people's mind, which also go back to inner monologue and the lack of external dialogue, right? So if you don't have those conversations internally or externally, you go on with the programming that you've had, and you just have children, and you're not having these conversations. You're not thinking about being a guide and being on their time. And trying to help them is like, you know what I mean? Like you're not thinking that way. Right. So you're not really giving that true attentive nurturing. Right. That is necessary.
Just the other day, I was holding her for probably like 20-30 minutes, because she has her own little Christmas tree, and she was just staring at it and like just grabbing like the little bristles of the tree and like just pulling in either direction, and I was just holding her there, just like, all right, however long it takes you to explore this, explore it. What is it?
And then there's gonna be a time she's done with it.
She's done. She look away, and I'm like, all right, so now we're looking over here. Right. So I just see myself as like a robot for her to like explore the world, you know?
Right.
And I'll just be like the little guide her along.
And to some degree, that's kind of what you are to her at a point. It's just like, I kind of need to get around, and I know that you're going to help me do that. And that ought to be what it is. Like, you're right. I am going to help you get around and try to figure stuff out. That's what I ought to be here for.
Right. Because at the end of the day, like, there's going to come a point in time when, like, all her decisions just like are going to be her own. I can't force somebody to live a certain way. So you're just there to kind of help them explore,
help them be exposed. Exposed in like the most adventurous and full, safe way.
Just promoting thinking.
Promoting thinking and promoting, you know, like immersion of experience. Immersion of experience.
100%.
That's good. All right, where are we at? You should probably get back to Maven.
Oh, what time is it?
7:12. We've been at this for 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Time is crazy. That's what's up.
Yeah, with like a small bathroom break.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good. Do you have anything else you want to say to the people? I am enjoying this book.
I was gonna say,
like you said, this is a story. She has thought out. I mean, she did write the book over the course of a decade.
Bro. Oh, I didn't even know that.
It's at the very beginning. If you read like the foreword.
Oh, yeah.
She usually writes books between like 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
This was the only book it took her like from the time of conception.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Yeah. See, I can't wait for you to finish it because, bro, I'm telling, like, that's a story.
Bro, I am enjoying the hell out this book. She thinks of everything that you would have to think about being someone that lives for 300 years.
Yeah.
Like there's so many things. Like, she was granted this freedom, right? Which is really a curse in a way.
Yep.
Of just living forever, but no one remembers her once they walk away from her, close her door or whatever, lose sight of her. And so she has this freedom. But then you're thinking, oh, wait, hold on.
So many
But
ways
what is freedom to a woman in France in the year 1719?
Yeah, you can't even walk down the street.
You can't walk down the street.
Yeah.
So what is freedom for? So now she has to try to find ways of just masquerading as a man, walking down the street. And then it's, well, how do you get housing?
Yeah,
if no one remembers you.
Remember you.
Oh, you can't have housing.
You can't even order food.
How do you order food? The waiter remembers you that you asked for food. They walk away.
Yeah.
They come back. They don't know who you are.
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Yeah.
You didn't ask me for anything. You just like the simplest of things in life that people forget, like how important memory is.
Right.
She has thought about and put into this book, and she tells it in such a...
Oh, yeah. She's great with the words.
Oh,
she's crazy with the words.
Man.
She's descriptive as hell. I'm like, damn, she's killing it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look up her other stuff after this.
Yeah.
But this book in particular is a really good book, and I'm about halfway through now, so I'm really intrigued.
It's really that way all the way through. Like I thought I could call it. I can't call it.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's good. It's good. I enjoy it. But so thank you for that, and thank Blaze for giving it to you.
Yeah.
And that's the way it goes. That's the way it should go. Just person to person. That's the way I find like most of the great books. Some of them. A lot of them. A lot of them.
Because then you'll find the book, and then you'll go through the artist, and you'll find the author, and you'll find the next book.
Yeah.
It's like a tree branch.
Yeah, sometimes I've read books, like nonfiction books, that will reference other books. And I'll be like, what's that book talking about? So then I'll go find that book. Yeah.
It's just like with music, too.
Yeah.
It's almost like you find what song that's sampled, and you'll go find that. Same way with books.
Yeah. When I was listening to Kanye heavy, like late registration, graduation time, I was like, damn, where are these samples coming from? Because I didn't know all these old soul songs. So then I would go and I'd look in the credits and find all these old soul samples. And that's when I started finding like Etta James and like all these old soul jazz singers. I'm like, oh, these joints is dope.
Yeah.
Like, these just fire. So sometimes that's just the way that it comes to you. But yeah, I've enjoyed this. I'm clearly got a new battery in my back. I've been recharged. I'm ready to do some different things here. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank everybody for coming to listen. Now, episode 148. Chill. Peace.
Yeah, buddy.